Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lightbringers podcast, episode number 26 of season 2. Yes, there's only been 2 seasons so far. There will be more, probably. I don't know when that's going to happen, actually. I'm not sure when season 3 will be a thing. Probably the end of the year? I don't know. Maybe after season 1, episode 5 has been released. Funnily enough, we'll be talking about such things today with my amazing and amazing awesome guests. Because I said amazing and amazing twice. It was still shit. It was still a shit intro. I still failed.
Graceful.
It was
Graceful.
still bad. And I swore as well.
You gotta roll with the punches, Jebro.
Rolling with the punches, Kroof, is me. You know? That's what I
Most
do.
people wouldn't have even noticed. It's like a typo. Most people don't notice unless you call it out.
I can't wait to be a
It's
therapist.
just for emphasis, you know?
I'm going to be a therapist. I'm just going to suck at like the intro bit. I'm just going to be like, hi, and...
Hi. Hi.
Hi. Amazing.
When you stutter on high.
Oh, God. That's going to be great, isn't it? We're going to be fine. It's going to be okay. Oh, God. Oh, my God. I'm already anxious enough as it is.
Hi, so what's wrong with you?
Fine. Yeah.
That's gonna be
What's
you.
up?
No, you put it in his mind.
I have crippling
gosh.
depression.
Honestly, I would feel very comfortable if someone told me that, but that's just me as a
Told you
patient.
what? Told you what?
If they're just like, hey, what's wrong?
It's pretty much what you do, actually. It's actually more of like, if you're a counselor, pretty much you say, like, first time you're here, you say, you know, I'm XYZ, we do XYZ, we do this, that, the other. This is the
You do Z
confidential.
and Z? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm English, apparently, and N is there in the thing. And, yeah, talk about confidentiality, and then you're straight in. All the history. Let's go. Tell me about yourself. What's going on? Who are your parents? Are your parents alive? Have you had any sandwiches today?
Have you ever done like a practice breakdown of characters, like from Guild Wars or something? Like if you were to imagine a session with Bram.
Oh yeah, I've done case conceptualization. Yeah, I guess that would be the word for characters for school. I did Batman, which is very interesting. There was like
Batman?
I think just
They're each just a little
general one.
differently
Yeah, I was gonna
unhinged.
say like let's go to the far off Batman in the future where you've got like Titans and Robin and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, maybe not that one. Well, actually, that one probably has had a lot of therapy, whereas the one who's becoming Batman is deeply fucked up. Like, he's just getting that, you know, dual personality, and you're like, okay, yeah, there's a lot of things going on here. But yeah, he's got a lot of stuff going on. If you want, if you want that article, I will send it to you. It's very interesting. I wrote a big paper on that, actually. Anyway. Sorry, Guild Wars 2 podcast. Hi everyone. It's myself, Fornax. We have Kroof also. We have Otterscotch as well. I hope everyone is very good. Let's go around and do a little bit of a mini intro. Fornax, what do you do and where do you do it?
Hi, I'm Fornax. I am a Guild Wars 2 primarily content creator. I put most of my work onto YouTube, but I do occasionally come here and talk to these beautiful people, and I do lurk on Twitch quite a bit. That's me. Oh, and it's Crichton_Herald on Twitter, and yeah, please follow and all that stuff. I'm not very good at this. Next.
Yes. There is a Twitch or YouTube channel for each of the people in the description below as well, as there is ever for everyone's stuff. So please go and check those links out. And if they have a link to the game that you can purchase as well, you can purchase Guild Wars 2, the expansions, etc. Through their links, should they have them under the stream as well. So please support them in a way you can possibly do that. Also go to their stream, YouTube, check out the Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Only Knees, or anything else that they have. Everyone's like, why did Jebro say that? Next, Kroof is back.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
How you doing today? I'm doing great. Thank you so much for asking.
Excellent.
I would like to order the eggs with wheat toast, and I'll have a side of ketchup. Thank you very much.
Did you say wheat toast?
Yeah.
What would
Ketchup?
What would just not wheat? What would you ask for if you didn't want wheat toast?
Sourdough toast.
Sourdough toast, really? This is a very American thing.
Why are
isn't
you
it?
coming for my order, Jebro?
Because I'm an English person. Like
How
we just say,
dare.
can I have some toast, please? I don't know.
I don't know where I was going with that, but hi
Sourdough
everyone. I'm Kroof. I've been doing a lot of Guild Wars 2 videos over on my YouTube at Kroof. I am currently doing a little retrospective review series on the elite specializations of End of Dragons.
Yeah.
I have the heavy and the medium up. The light is done on Patreon early, but that should be going live later tonight. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
I'm excited
that's
to
good.
chat more. Yay.
I watched the heavy one. Really, really good. I watched the medium one. I think that came out yesterday, didn't it? Did it come out yesterday?
Yeah.
Yes, they're good. Go and watch them, people. And all the builds you've been doing as well. Chris been going
Oh, yeah.
on it on YouTube.
Some
on
beginner
one.
stuff.
Yeah. Crown Herald did some videos recently as well. Fairly recently. I'm not sure if you did one this week.
I did, but it's okay. You can
Which
watch.
one did I watch?
Crew's channel much more than mine.
No,
I'm
which
not-
one was it?
Oh,
Wait,
what
wait, wait.
this
Tell me the title.
self-deprecation? No.
Tell me the title. What was it? Oh God. Oh God, that face.
Refused.
Oh God. What was it called?
I did a.
The
I-
Alpheus.
it was a
Yes,
video
no, I
about
watched
the
it.
Alpheus.
I did
You
watch a bit of it. Yes.
You
I watched a little bit of it in the
bastard, but I'll
bath.
take it.
No.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
saw it, and because you put it on Twitter and everything else, I was in the bath and I was watching people's videos. That's where I watch videos sometimes.
Okay.
Don't drop the phone.
Yeah.
Oh, I
don't-
can drop
yeah.
it. It's a Google phone, Google Pixel. They're
That's
waterproof.
what they say.
Well,
That's what
I'm
they
not
all
gonna
say.
drop it. The thing is if you think about dropping it, you're gonna drop it more. So if I think it's waterproof, I will just never drop it.
Is that why I always drop it so low at the bar? I'm dropping it low.
This is a deeply confusing start.
I don't
I'm
know
just
what's
gonna-
happening anymore. And
It's
then
got to stay
last
fast.
but definitely
It's
not
gonna be a
least,
day.
last but certainly not least, it is Otter Scotch. Yes, strawberry ticky with the with the amazing emote from our friend T the Khajiit from Elder Scrolls Online. That is an apt emote to use.
I love their emotes so much.
Yeah, she's good people.
They're so cute.
I did podcasts
yeah.
with T the Khajiit when I did ESO actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she's cool. She's a good friend. Okay, go. Sorry, I was running into it.
Yes, I'm Otterscotch. I am a Guild Wars and Variety streamer. I craft things like this adorable little Cyndaquil that my camera's
Yes.
trying to blur out. Ta-da! There's a happy little thing for your day.
What is it called?
I actually, it's a Pokemon. This is Cyndaquil.
Oh, okay. I don't know which one that was. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
It's like one of my favorites.
I know the basic
So-
ones, you know.
Also, you guys were also very, very impressed with the Quaggan from last time.
Yes.
I have commissions open on
Oh,
Ko-Fi or
nice.
Coffee or Kofi.
I don't know how anyone says it, honestly.
Yep,
I
I
think
am
it's Coffee.
Otterscotch over there. I'm Otterscotch
It's
everywhere.
coffee.
Coffee.
So check that out. There's a
Cool.
few spots open.
I'll put that link in the description for you then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can
Awesome.
be your one. Just remind me. Absolutely.
Okay.
Go into the description. If you don't know what was just seen, because you post your link in the chat. If you're subbed, it will come out. That's okay. If you're not, then
I'm just putting it
Someone
in the
gift one.
Discord so that you can
Oh, okay.
put it up.
I'll do it. I'll put it in Twitch as well. Also, make sure, please, to follow everyone. And also, if you can't see the video, you can go Spotify, YouTube, Twitch, and you can see the VOD. It'll be there in some way, shape, or form. As well as with all the other VODs that we have, of all the things going on. Today's going to be and everyone, thank you for coming on today. That's me doing a thumbs up.
Of course.
Of course, it's Kroof's like 728,000 episode.
I never thought I'd see the day.
I think Kroof has been here the most.
I feel like Rook
Essentially.
has.
Rook may have been.
I think Rook has. Rook is.
I
is
don't
beating
know.
me.
I think you're kind of tied.
I mean, I honestly, I think Jebro's been here the
I
most.
mean, other than me. But sometimes I leave for like getting packages and stuff. Like today.
True.
Today, there's someone who's doing the staircase, like next to my. So I'm like every so often, like yeah, I don't know. And there's another parcel coming.
Mute.
Fridays, yeah, it's just Fridays are the worst. in this building anyway. Whatever. Okay, so we're talking about Guild Wars 2. The stream's only been going for like half an hour, so it's fine. No, 15 minutes. Okay, that's good.
Not too bad.
I'm doing well today. Oh dear. Guild Wars 2. So, I wanted to update kind of some numbers on some things about Guild Wars 2 that are kind of interesting going on at the moment. And just generally talk about the direction of kind of Guild Wars 2 and where it's going. Because I've heard kind of things through the grapevine of like, you know, veterans aren't massively happy. Some veterans, like extreme people. I don't know, extreme people, if that's the right extreme people. But like, you know, the more kind of raid / fractal / instance content sort of end game peeps aren't getting much, and I feel that there's a little bit of disappointment there. PvP, World v World Alliance is still not here, really not any sign of what's going on there too much recently. A little bit of communication here and there, but you know, when are extremists happy? That's very true. That's very true, because they're always going to go to the next level. That was very good. And there is a little bit of concern about different things. Like I checked the Steam numbers, they've gone down, which is to be expected kind of post-launch, you know, but they've gone down by a few thousand. So there is some things where, you know, we had this Steam insertion, we had the 10-year anniversary, we had all this wicked stuff, and then suddenly there is a bit of we're feeling a drop in places. I'm feeling a drop myself in just playing the game generally, a little bit. Maybe because I've just been going pretty hard recently and doing content and stuff, which is a thing. So I guess general question, like is that a feeling for anyone else? Or is that just maybe a me thing, or is just maybe because of the way I'm feeling, I'm noticing that from others maybe a little bit more? Or is it that, you know, everyone else is kind of just on this high kind of like, woo, everything is fine, really good?
It actually has crept up on me, I'd say, in the past week. I wasn't really feeling that until recently, but ever since we got episode 4 of season 1, that's where I picked the game back up.
Right.
So there wasn't anything new for me really to experience. And I don't know, I think just it allowed me to take a little bit of a look back and seeing that we had a really strong expansion of End of Dragons.
Yeah.
And then for a decent, I'd say like a moderate pool of the community, we went straight into season 1. And for those people who had played it, it really wasn't anything new. So I was then able to kind of just be like, oh yeah, there have been some people who really haven't felt that there's been anything new for quite some time, like almost 8 months at this point. So yeah, I was like, yeah, it makes sense why people would be a little bit, you know, kind of their steam and their energy is dwindling a little bit.
Good point.
I mean, we're hitting that right at the same time as we're starting to go into the fall and winter, when life just kind of takes off. You know, your schedules are shifting. A lot of people have school. A lot of work things are going to be picking up, heading towards deadlines by the, you know, end of the fiscal year kind of things. There's always quarterly deadlines coming up, and that just is all kind of hitting at the same time right now for a lot of people I know, at least.
I agree. I agree completely. I think that we have to look at, as a veteran player, I knew the stuff that was coming in season 1 wasn't for me. And but I accepted it, and I'm happy about it because I guess I'm kind of more invested in the kind of the long game. A lot of people are quite short-termists.
We've been there for a while now, haven't we? We've got to be.
Yeah, exactly. But it's you know,
so true.
People want their shiny toys now, right?
Yeah.
And I feel for the raid community. They haven't had a new raid in quite some time. I feel for the fractal community. They need the love. Oh my god! I mean, the least loved child is World v World, and I feel for that community.
Yeah.
I want them to have, even if at this point they just get a reskinned map that reflects the updated graphics in like Cantha. For fuck's sake, guys, give them something. Throw them a bone. So yeah, no, I can totally appreciate it. And also, I mean, MMOs are cyclic, aren't they? There's an ebb and flow. You have a rise and you have an ebb. New content comes, everyone runs and looks at it, new shiny things, and then they all like wander away. Especially the fact that they don't feel compelled to play or forced to play by a sub to get their money's worth.
That's true. Sorry, go on.
It's also one thing I wish that ArenaNet would do is just make it easier to go through achievements. They always feel just so tucked away. You can forget how many. And I've been like digging out and trying to clean up old achievements that I'm just like one step away from. And they're so difficult to find, the ones that I'm so close to finishing. There's a lot to do, and it's just difficult to access at times.
Yeah,
90% of the game is still stuck inside the UI that you have to dig out. Yeah, so there's the eye roll. It's so true, right?
It is because I did. So I just finished Flameseeker Prophecies actually this past week, and I was kind of excited, but I got started to do it when I was going through it, and I was like crafting the precursor. I was like, oh man, I did Hope before, and it's just the same thing. it's different. It is cool at the same time. It's like, you know, you have to go around Tyria and you core game pretty much, and you find, you know, register all these villains and all these heroes, and you go to all these places. It's very cool. And then, but you're still doing the same thing essentially as you do with the other precursors. You go to kill, you know, like Claw of Jormag. You go to the Destroyer, but it's another reason that you go there other than. So it's just exactly the same thing. And I was just like, by the end of it, I was just like, I'm kind of done with this, honestly, and I'm kind of glad I'm not going to be doing another precursor craft for a while. I might just do the Orion weapons because it's easier. And like. Yeah. I don't know. So that even that part, but at the same time, I had to go and use for ease. I would go and use like put my API into the Guild Wars 2 wiki and then like follow that and then have my game. And I was like, sometimes that's a bit annoying because I'd like this quest log of all these things being tucked off, which would be quite cool. But we've talked about this before, I think, Kriv as well, like, and maybe even with both of you, or Scotch and Harold Fornax as well, about this UI and about this like achievement and how it's not the same as other games. You know, new players have to get used to this, the fact that quests are essentially hidden and are just achievements. Yeah, I don't know. What you're going to say something, Kriv?
They've moved a little bit in a direction that is more similar to classic quest design with End of Dragons, where there are certain NPCs in Arborstone that have an indication above their head with a little crown, and that gives you an idea that, oh, there's a quest line to do in like a separate story. But it's not as well used as I think it could be to actually show off like side stories and side quests to go and do. Like even in episode 4, there's this like quest line to go and find all the crate obelisks, but it's purely in the UI and there's no indication of where they're located either. And I was like doing that for a little bit, but then I just totally forgot about it because there's no like in-game way to kind of keep track of it. It's just not as well done, and also there's no real reward other than like achievement points in the story, which is in and of itself for some people a good reward. But we have in the adventure guide, the new adventure guide is kind of like a quest system while leveling, so that we're seeing elements of classic quest design popping in. But
is that a way of like transitioning people into the achievement system, do you think? Like being like, there's this pop-up, you did this thing. Oh, achievement. Here you go.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I like those as well because they're purely character bound, where you're able to do them on each of your characters. Everything is so account based. So even if you did complete quests, like the fear in my mind would be that you can't go and do that quest again on other characters and gain rewards. So I've appreciated the adventure log stuff to do.
I think the definitely the next thing that they're slowly but surely kind of overhauling and refreshing a lot of the elements of the game, so that they brought back in season 1. They're kind of tweaking, and I think the next thing that they really need to look at is the whole interface system and the whole way that they kind of deliver that kind of deeper content to people. I think it definitely, especially with like the TikTok, not to diss TikTok, but it's a TikTok generational
You can
thing.
diss TikTok. It's awful.
Sure.
It's good. It's good. It's good for many things, but it's very abusive.
Well, it's the short attention span that it breeds. People just want the stuff. They want it front and center. And I'm not saying you can't have long, involved and detailed stories. People will sit for that. They will, but you have to hook them in. And if they're missing the hook, they're missing the content. So I think that they really have to kind of push that content from behind all those windows and interface UI panels out into the world. I don't know how difficult that will be. It might be Herculean, but that's that. If I could tell them anything, that would be the thing that I would tell them. Move your content front and center, because 90% of the community is missing most of it.
It must be. They must have these stats. Like, they must have these stats of how many people have done achievements. I mean, maybe we don't know. Maybe there are more people doing achievements than we realize. I don't know.
We can glimpse a little bit of that, because sometimes the achievements rewards are like titles, and you can go and check how many people have acquired those titles and those rewards. And I think just the other day during my stream, we were talking about like the volcanic weapon in Icebrood Saga, that collection where you get a title or something, and like it's one of the rarest titles and accomplishments. Wait, what do you have to do for that? You have to like craft all your volcanic storm weapons and then like multi-tier stuff. So not many people do it. That's not technically like a side story quest line example, but that's just like something you could go after in the achievement panel. But
it's like Ex Machinima. That's another one that's quite rare, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot in the achievement panels, but there are some very, very rare accomplishments when you look at the larger community.
Huh.
Yeah, and that's that's kind of why I brought that up in the first place, was because I've been experiencing that same kind of burnout, that same kind of, I've been playing the game for 8 years. And a lot of the stuff I want to do, I've done, until I started actively digging and using the outside of game tools to find the achievements that I haven't done. And there's some fun achievements, there's some easy achievements, there's all these things that just, they're there. There's a lot of things to do, and some of them give great rewards, and even achievement points. Once you hit the milestones, give some pretty good rewards. I'm coming up on one that gives me 400 gems.
Yeah, those ones are good.
It's just, I had completely forgotten it was there and available.
I think sometimes, I don't know why, sometimes when I look at achievements though, I'm like, it could be cool, but I don't feel like they're reward enough sometimes. I think that when the totals, like you say, the 400 is pretty cool. But sometimes you do all of these achievements and you see that one achievement point, and then you're like, then it's some exotic kind of, I don't know, accessory.
If anything. Sometimes they don't even give you anything.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's just the achievement point. Yeah, and it's just like, why did I do this?
There are some really awesome rewards.
Skins-wise and stuff.
There's the Radiant and Hellfire sets, which are free to apply, absolutely beautiful.
For the totals,
Yeah, and there's a whole series of weapons, actually 2 series of weapons that you can earn in the achievement point system. You may not like them, they may not be your cup of tea, but they're free to apply. Just saying. I'm saying what I'm saying.
Yeah. But in the actual for weapon collection, individual things, you're doing your specific fixer upper for engineer, for example, is a big hammer which looks like a wrench, right? I'm pretty sure that's cool. And there's some good skins and stuff. But I think honestly they need to start thinking about, if they're not gonna, and so Obi said it in the chat as well. I was talking about raids, and I think someone mentioned about raids before, feeling sorry for the community there. I think if they're not gonna, well, the thing is, they released the CM of the strike, which was really, really good and really well received by a lot of people. They've not really talked about wasn't it well received?
Oh, well,
I thought it was
my brain interpreted that differently, but it was very well received. My brain went in the direction of not many people are actively, accomplishing it or doing it.
Oh, right. Not many people are accomplishing it. Yeah, that's true. But I think the idea that it's there was, attracted a lot of people. But I think, you know, and I said this at the time, I think the reason it attracted people was it was content for them to talk about, and then they kind of didn't attempt to play the game or even do it. And it's just like, there's this thing, isn't there? Like, oh, this game's got this amazing thing. I'm going to talk about it to get content, get views, and then that's kind of it.
Actually play it.
Yeah, it's a weird content creation is turned into a very, very interesting world.
That's the domain of endgame content that I'm looking for. I'm not. I used to be like an achievement hunter. It's less so now.
Yeah.
But I felt that one of the more unfortunate occurrences is a lack, or what to me has felt like a lack of endgame content. We're in a little bit of like a strike mission drought, and we are going to be getting one strike mission for season 1, but I feel like the last strike mission that I felt like I could eventually go for is Overlook. I have yet to complete it, but like that's something I think I could do, but it's still not something I'm actively doing. So in reality, the last update that I got was really Anka and the Jinlight Jade Junkyard. And that we've had like, in my position, and I think in the general strike mission position, is that we've had quite a few months of no strike content for one boss. So,
and they haven't been new, have they? And they haven't been new. It's not new. It's just difficulty increases.
Difficulty increases with some extra mechanics, so it does breathe new life into it. But it's just felt like, I understand that they're not going to be doing raids, and I'm totally at peace with that. And I actually really love the direction of strike missions.
Same.
But it's just felt like, I feel like season 1 could have had more than one strike mission, at least from like episode 4 and 5. If we had an actual strike mission for this episode release, I think that would have maybe, especially with lining it up with the release of Steam, that probably would have just funneled people into that endgame content a bit more. So
that's so true.
I'm just astonished that they're not going to do any more raids. I think it's such an own goal. I really do.
Well, they haven't said that they're not doing it, but just from the overall reception of strike missions, it's safe to say that they'll probably lean more into that. If we do see more of a strong endgame community, I wouldn't put it past them to just do like a new fun raid and like have that be the statement piece of the year or something.
It's weird, isn't it? Because like I feel like Guild Wars 2, the thing I feel about like people watching Guild Wars 2 specifically is I think a lot of Guild Wars 2 players like to watch the end game stuff and like to witness it. I don't think they like to play it or like or like push for that end game. Does that make sense? I don't mean like, you know, it's not good. I just mean that I think the general player or the bigger population of Guild Wars 2 is just not focused on those areas still. I think I'm not sure if that's true or not. It's just a feeling I have where I'm like, I feel like the general Guild Wars 2 player is kind of the, what's that map called? Drizzlewood Coast is kind of that player, honestly. And I've always, I will never forget Kroof saying this. Endgame is like, you know, open world / map metas. Like those kind of, that feels like the end game. It does, because I feel like that is the most populated area of the game most of the time, or it's world v world actually as well, which is weird to say.
Have they delivered that type of end game for season 1?
No. Funnily enough,
I mean, they will do.
Slightly.
Episode,
yeah,
that's true.
With the
Yeah.
Nightmare Tower.
Yeah, go on.
Slightly.
Can you say more? Say some more.
I actually really enjoy the Nightmare Tower. I think it's a lot of fun.
I agree.
But I just think that the way it's been integrated, it further separates populations into further instances, which, you know, you kind of become comfortable with in Guild Wars 2. But we have a couple other instances of this, like with Dragonstorm, the Marionette. And I think it'd be fun maybe in the future to have kind of like a cycling portal where like each week they kind of change and incentivize you to play it for that week and whatever, just because it'd be nice to funnel that if they do want to explore that more. And I also think that the Nightmare Tower is perhaps a precursor to what we might get in episode 5 with the Lion's Arch stuff.
I think you're right. Yeah.
It would allow them to create that spectacle of having a full 50 squad of players going through the map and doing all the events. So I imagine we'll get another one of these type, like dungeon-esque large squad encounters. So it I just kicked my desk.
Okay. God! Everyone is
California.
shattered.
It kind of has brought that, but not to the same magnitude of something like Drizzlewood Coast or Dragon's End or any of the other larger meta events.
Like that Drizzlewood Coast. It's good. It's like, it's just fun to like traverse go through the map. It's just this pathway of like just so much going on. You get so much loot, and you're just like, even if you don't enjoy it, like you can just go through with your mate and just be like, yeah, I'm just getting loads of loot. Like we're just getting loads of loot, and this is an MMO, and this is cool. But like
the terrain in that map is so unique and so cool.
It's good. It
I love
feels
it
like
so much.
they're doing so many different like good biomes. It's really good progressive. Like you feel like you're leveling. You're moving through a map, like you're through goals, like you're in this safe base camp, and then you go through these camps which you take over, and then you invade this area which is, you know, the enemies, and then you kill this big boss. You know, it's pretty fucking cool. It is pretty well thought out. It's probably one of the best, you know, all-inclusive kind of map metas that last for a significant amount of time, I guess. I'm not sure if any others match up to it, but I like what you said about the latest episode and the tower. That was very far. Even when we went through and we just had that squad of like 10 of us, like that was cool. And
That's the most fun I've had with it, though, is when I'm doing it in a smaller, tighter squad. Every time I try going into the public instance, I end up at least halfway through and completely lost, and I don't know where anybody is. I wish kind of that they put it on the same timer rotation. Put it in the world boss cycle so that you have this big announcement.
Options.
Another in the map, another attempt to take down the Nightmare Tower is beginning in 5 minutes.
That's a good idea. Yeah, to try and rally people, or like or there could be like a. So in Warhammer Online, they did this really, really good thing, and it was called the War Report, and you could click the War Report, and it would say these areas are having different events happening now. You click it and you would port there automatically for free. So there was a PvP fight going on here. There's this PvE zone quest going on over here. There's this boss battle going on here. And you could just click it and you would just go there, and it would just be loads of people, and it would be free. So it would just always be about like, I want to do something. I'm not sure what to do right now. Where can I go? And it would just be some kind of UI that would say, you can do this, that, the other, click it. It's kind of a bit like the boss.
The world boss portal.
Yeah, but you have to pay for that, right? And that's something which pops up in your chat. So it's like, they need that in the game just to be a free thing for people that they can just go to.
Or, you know, better utilize the aerodrome. Some people have mentioned, and I've mentioned multiple times, it's like we have these meeting hubs for all the game modes of PvP and World versus World, but for people looking to do structured PvE content like strikes, raids, world bosses, and, you know, all those portal like instanced content, we really don't have one particular place. We have the aerodrome for raids. We have that portal in Lion's Arch for fractals. We have the Eye of the North for like other strike missions and those world events. So it just feels a little too separated. And I think the aerodrome could be a pretty fun place to just like accumulate all of that into one meeting area to just know what's popping up when, and say like, oh, I want to go do this. And so I'll go over here and, you know, queue up and all that stuff.
I think that's a great idea. I think the more that they can put all the content that they have in the game front and center and push it into people's faces, because a lot of times people will not know what to do. They'll play through the story, they'll do a bit of crafting, and then they're like, well, what the hell do I do now? And I think as ever, it's a problem not with necessarily the content, but it's funneling players into the content. I also don't understand why. So they've got this sort of a collective buff during raiding, whereby you accumulate. It becomes easier the more tries you get, so that you're encouraged.
Oh,
to keep on trying.
emboldened mode.
Emboldened mode, which. It's in a few games. It's in World of Warcraft. It's in a Final Fantasy. It's a great mechanic. I don't understand why they haven't just kicked down the doors, opened it up so that it's on everywhere all the time. I like all the content to be there all the time. And it certainly doesn't seem to have done Final Fantasy any disservice to have 100 raids with 17,000 bosses and everything on fire all at once, with these attrition modes on all the time, because what players realize is, when I want to play the game, I can go in and play the game, and everything that I ever wanted, everything that I've paid for, is right there. I can do it when I want. And that's kind of really like the ethos of respecting a player's time. And I think that the game does it really well for so many areas. But I think that the delivery of this kind of endgame content, I think that they could step that up, and I think it would be very much appreciated, especially by veteran players. But it would help with retention as well.
They can bump up the
hugely.
rewards, have it as a level, so then Emboldened just becomes easier mode. Like, it just becomes an easier mode. They leave the rewards there and they bump up the other levels. It could easily. I mean, they could easily do it because they're doing it. They just need to, like you say, I think, activate it. Because I was like, we were doing like a rotation thing as a guild for a while. I kind of slowly fell off because summer. But like, I was just like, damn, it'd just be cool to go through this like next week again and on Emboldened mode to learn it again. Because we didn't kill everything. Everyone's different level of experience, gear, everything else. And even on Emboldened mode, some bosses, we just needed to get the mechanics down. That was it. And yeah, it was just sad we couldn't do that, unfortunately. And I think, even Emboldened mode on other things in the game could be good as well. I don't know, but
I feel like those type of modes make you feel less. What's the word I'm looking for?
Stupid.
Demoralized, right? You get in, the content's hard, it beats the shit out of you, and you think, oh fuck, oh well. I mean, it
depends what you're looking for. Sometimes that's an all right feeling, because you'd feel like a sense of accomplishment when you've moved through something. But then if it's a mode which is you've activated because you want to do it first time to just see it and do it, then you can turn it off, and then you can feel that sense of progression, right? I guess.
Well, I mean, the most important thing is choice. So if you're going in a pub, you just want it to be smooth. You don't want to piss about the people who you're with, and you just want to get through it and done. If you're doing it with a guild, have a nightmare mode. Have it so that people's hair are on fire. Just do it. Make it as hard as you want, because that's what they want. But you've got to have all the seats at the table, from Noddy on one end to the Chad on the bottom. You've got to accommodate for all palates, as it were.
Yeah, and I think looking at other MMOs and seeing their great choice between easy mode, normal mode, and harder modes, and it not being exclusive to one particular instanced form of content for that week, it probably would help Guild Wars 2 out a little bit to consider that.
Yeah.
So that you don't have to feel like, well, I know that we can't beat that particular raid because we still haven't figured out the mechanics, but I still want to raid, but I can't, or I feel like it's too much of an ask for me to go and do at this time, and I'd rather go and do it on Emboldened mode. So perhaps they were more so testing the waters with keeping it to a once a week rotation, but from my experience, it's been pretty successful. So I would like to see them just allow you to just select if you want to do it on Emboldened mode.
Yeah.
And then integrate an LFG system.
See, I was surprised you didn't. I was waiting for you to say that.
I knew we're not going to go down that road, but I just wanted to be like,
I don't mind you saying. I'm there with you though. I'm there with you. I'm actually. I will tell you about a really, really cool experience I had in another game with an LFG, which I actually think Guild Wars 2 should adopt. And it was really a really positive experience I've had every single time I've done a dungeon, and that's in New World. And if you haven't played New World recently and you've been thinking about it, it's the best time to get into that game, because their systems are improving. There's still a lot to do, but the game is looking very promising. The promise of raids is coming, for example, mounts, loads of stuff that people just want that they're bringing into the game. A new weapon is coming, a new expansion which is pretty much free, which is like an entire brand new zone which is massive, and they're bringing in the Egyptians and Romans, and there's so many different things which are coming into the game, and I'm so pumped. And it's just been really, really fun. The thing is, in that game, they don't have many dungeons at the moment, 6 or 7. But before you just had to be out front and just had to like find people, just like say in chat, you know, like it was even more weak than, you know, Guild Wars 2. There was no even like LFG menu like thing. You can click onto the dungeon now and you can say, you know, you're looking for a group, and there's so many different levels, hard levels that you can do. And there's also this mutated mode where, you know, there's a debuff on you, so you get a condition damage on you for depending on what the dungeon is like, and you get wicked rewards, etc. The big thing is the LFG. So you click on there, and then there's some groups lined up, and it says the gear score you need, what difficulty you want to do, and everything else. But you can apply to join the group, and then, you know, they can accept you or whatever. But then when you're in the group, you can all get teleported to the actual dungeon itself. You can be wherever you are in the world. You don't have to go there. And it's just so easy to do. And I don't know if it's the community has improved. I feel like New World's community was a bit more toxic than I would have liked to. But like every single experience I've had has just been wicked. It's been so good. And there's voice comms, and the voice comms have been awesome as well. Like people are just helping each other, like talking about tactics, how we go through, you know, mechanics of the bosses, all the things. And I was healing. So I was like healing for the first time. And if you're going to get, you know, if you're going to get any crap, it's going to be the healer, you know, it's going to be me. And like people can tell as well because I streamed it, and it was just really, really good. It was really fun, but it wasn't like auto LFG. It was like in between Guild Wars 2 system and like auto LFG. So I'm like, I saw that system and I was like, oh, this was actually kind of good, but then it would still have some downsides to it as well. It's like auto LFG can get kind of toxic sometimes, but at least you're in there and you're doing it, you know, and you're kind of doing the thing. So I'm all for an LFG system. Is that what you want? And Criff, you want the full on like auto LFG? Like, let's just go. Put me in the group. Let's go. Ash.
Yeah, I think it can be done. I think there are certain systems, and if you need to have something to check if the player is eligible, I think gear score would be totally fine in a game like Guild Wars 2,
or
especially because there is no gear treadmill. There is nothing above it. It's just you have to meet this. And then also you can check your certain build's stats, and then you have to meet a certain minimum to queue up for that role or something. The emboldened mode system also allows for perhaps an easier time of encountering those bosses with pugs. I mean, you're even able to fully pug a raid, even if it's not on emboldened mode, but having that emboldened mode certainly helps.
Yeah.
And just my experience in so many other MMOs, even in a game like ESO with relatively the same amount of customization and somewhat, you're able to kind of go in between the Trinity and, you know, have that flexibility. The friendliness of being able to just say, I want to do this, click that button, and then wait and go and do other things, and suddenly you're in that content that you're looking for. It keeps me in those games so much longer, and it doesn't add this extra pressure of when I do decide to lead a raid or a squad. I don't have to be micromanaging everything all the time and being like, okay, who can do this, who can do that. It also falls onto the balance of the game in terms of their design philosophy of how elite specs are going to work. There are a lot of moving parts, but it could be done, and I'd be interested in seeing it at least be tested on something exclusively like the emboldened system, or at least in dungeons, having an auto queue system of dungeons.
I think so.
But it would be a very, very cool feature that I would just fall on my knees for.
Absolutely.
I totally agree. They could have a drop down, so you select the role that you want to fulfill. You could even have it as detailed as which elite are you running. So I want to be support. I'm going to run. I'm a ranger. I'm running a druid build, and then
lock you into it, maybe.
Yeah.
Because that's what Final Fantasy does, right? I mean, that's how it works with Final Fantasy 4. And if you queue up as a healer, you cannot leave. You can't leave that spec, can you? Or can you go into another spec which is a healer?
You can't switch when you're in.
Even in PvP in Guild Wars 2, there's a certain point where you're not able to switch anymore. You're locked into whatever you're playing. There are multiple checks that they'd have to do, and I think that'd be fine, like gear score, stats, and then checking if they wanted to brand certain specializations as like filling that role. you'd then have to like check that. And I don't think it would necessarily destroy the flexibility and buildcraft of Guild Wars 2, because you do have quite a lot of buildcraft, but it would just be an added system to further allow players to interact with the content of the game and maybe like increase the population of that in-game content.
Can I say something that might be controversial? So
Never. Oh God.
Never.
Shock horror. Please don't.
Cuck monster. Right. So there's never.
I don't know what you just said, but you said monster.
Doesn't matter. Yes.
Oh, all right. Okay. Oh God.
In terms of like gear,
yeah,
Guild Wars 2 actually has some of the least OP in comparison to, say, like the standard. If we say that the base bog standard for a max level character is a set of exotic gear, which is incredibly easy to get, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's only something like 15% better to get ascended gear.
Yeah.
It's a gnat's asshole. Yeah. It's a gnat's asshole. And this is why I say
tiny.
this. Yeah. That is very tiny, very
just
very
like
shallow.
I mean, we could ask about where Creep's going, but I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. There's nothing wrong with that. It's fine.
So it's such as I always say to people who kind of like piss on Guild Wars 2, oh, it's dead, it's too easy. Dude, the game is about skill. If you care at all about skill, play Guild Wars 2, because once you're up to the exotic gear, you can have a great player in exotic and you can have a really crap player in ascended. And who's going to do the most damage?
Exotic.
So as long as you click, I mean, they could even have a button. I'm wearing exotic gear. I'm wearing ascended gear if they want to really get to like the far end of a fart. But honestly, I think as long as you're max level, you're running the build. If you go in and you suck, if your build isn't
get
working,
kicked.
Yeah.
That's the.
I mean, you can kick players. You can do
advice.
That.
People offer you advice. They could even have, like, Final Fantasy XIV has a button that equips all the best gear that you can put
to you own.
Spec. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's so good.
You're
oh my God, that button helps me so much. I get so confused about the game.
But if they don't want to do that, dear Guild Wars 2 player, this is the standard spec for a druid healer. If you want to go in support, this is what we recommend as a dev team. Now, this isn't the best, it isn't the worst. If you want to min-max, go to Snowcrows, but this is a bog standard build that anyone can run. These are the button presses that we recommend. Have fun, and don't take it as like gospel, but take it as a kind of the diving off point for you to get into raiding. Yeah.
And in a game like Rift, at least for the traits, Rift actually used to do this where they had set up builds for certain roles. I know. I've actually been watching a lot of Rift videos.
Have you played it recently? I would love to play that. I would love to get a guild and go and play Rift again. From base game, fresh server, I would.
Is it still a game? Is it still running?
It's still running.
Is it gaming again?
Which is wild.
Is it gaming?
It's on maintenance, but it's still running.
Yeah, they're not adding content, unfortunately. What else? So you were saying about the Rift, so they had builds, didn't they?
But yeah, like what Fornax was mentioning in terms of like having a if you are looking to play a role, say you are on a druid and you're looking to like do strike missions or something and you're looking to play that healer role, they would give you and present to you with like a recommended set where it's like very, very standard, taking druid, nature magic, and beastmaster or something, whatever, and then it would like load it out. But also you can lean on the community to do that as well.
Oh God, crew, damn you, got me thinking about Rift. Rift is so good. Rift was
this is another one that I completely missed.
It was so good. It is one of my favorite MMORPGs. It really is. Like they did so many. The way you can customize like your builds and stuff, and it just had some really unique classes. Like they had a warrior healer, for example, and Rift is responsible for a lot of what Guild Wars 2. Yeah, well, kind of a paladin, but they had a paladin. Well, what was he called? Cleric, right?
Cleric had paladin. Warrior had like a bunch of other souls that were like
healing soul.
Very strange.
But you'd switch souls, wouldn't you? Which were build templates, right? Kind of.
And I appreciate Guild Wars 2 because it does give me like an echo of Rift with all of its elite
absolutely.
specializations and the amount of the tree system. Like
Well,
you can
dynamic
choose 3.
events, there's loads of
And
stuff
yeah,
in the game.
that too.
That's where they
Also,
got them from.
I was playing Dragon's End,
Yeah.
and you know how like the void outbreaks at the different magics? I was like, these are rifts.
Yeah,
They're fully
absolutely.
rifts.
Of course they are. Every single
Like literally, like beat by beat, like
Crip.
you do the event
telling
and then
you.
the boss spawn.
I'm
And I was,
telling you.
it just clicked last week, and I was like, oh my god,
Okay.
these are rifts.
What-
And I
like-
kind of want them to do that again because
Yeah,
it was
same.
fun.
But also, you know, Warhammer Online, I've said this a million times, public quests were these events which popped up. There was Warhammer Online, Rift, Guild Wars 2. It was just public events, like all it's been. Like that's what Rifts were. But Rifts, do you remember raid Rifts?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, they were so hard at the beginning.
And they would like,
It was so
and
good.
the rifts in like the starter zones, they would like rush forward, and like
Yeah.
a giant boss would spawn and attack the capital.
They were meta events.
Ugh.
They were meta events. That's
They
what
were
they
meta
were.
events.
They were meta events.
Honestly, dynamic events have blessed the MMO sphere. Great change.
There's some
with
games that just don't opt for them, and I'm like, why? They're so good. Like ESO has some fixed events, like even in there, but they just pop up in the same area. Like even High Isle, they just had these new ones put in, but they're still the same thing. They're just in an arena area, and they just kind of just pop up, and I'm sad. Anyway, sorry. But like Rift is like, it's free. I would seriously, the storyline is a bit weird, but like it is a really decent old school kind of tab target MMORPG, which has really solid, awesome systems. And if you can, Dungeon has probably got some of the best rating I've ever played. Like mechanics wise, there's some fantastic stuff in there. Also, you can be a dwarf. So
That's always a bonus.
Oh yeah, that's one of the reasons. My main was not a dwarf though. Funnily enough, there's a human cleric.
Surprise.
Any chloromancer mains?
Oh, chloromancers were so good. They were so good. I was a cleric. What did I play? Purifier, I think, or something.
I
They
would do
weren't the
Sentinel.
strongest. Yeah, Sentinel was like
Sentinel and
Sentinel was the single target, right? And then Warden was
Yeah.
AoEs.
AoE healing over time.
Yeah, that was
Purifier
cool.
was shielding.
Yeah, and then what was that? There was one where you did
Harbinger?
damage. It had damage heals.
I think it was called the Harbinger.
No, it wasn't called Harbinger. It was called something else. It was called.
Oracle?
No, it was
For cleric?
no. It was called. It was began with a D, I think.
For cleric.
Yeah. Ah, no, I need to look it up. I need to go right now.
No, it's gonna bother you.
Yeah, no, this is bad. I know I'm talking about Rift now, and I've just gone off some weird tangent, but Rift Cleric Souls. It's called. Free would know.
Gone off on a tangent and you can't even blame Vince.
I'm gonna find it. I'm finding it. I'll find it right now. Here it is. So Justicar was the Defiler. That's what it was.
Defiler.
Defiler. So you
Yeah.
defile targets and heal. So you would do damage and you would heal your raid as well, or a single target, because you would put like a marker on the tank, and the more
Yeah.
damage you did,
You do
the more
damage
they
to
healed.
yourself
Yeah.
as
Oh
well.
yeah. There was some really good. Oh
Ooh,
wow.
that'd be a fun necrospec. Anyway.
Yeah, but they had
I
Inquisitor
was just
as
thinking
well,
this
which is kind of
sounds
necro.
like the kind of corruption necro where you're
Yeah.
stealing health and
Absolutely. Like Kabbalist as well, but there was some real good damage specs
Also,
as well.
Rift has some great class names.
Oh yeah.
They like pulled out all the stops.
And icons and stuff. Like I'm just looking at the classes and like them.
Anyways, Guild Wars 2.
Sorry, yeah. Well in future, I want to do like a podcast on just chatting, but with Lightbringers and talking about like if you are not playing Guild Wars 2, what else are you playing? But like that could be that's a future thing about that. If you in the comments, if you would like to see that kind of thing, let us know. But I still need to do my general MMORPG podcast at some point in time.
Yeah, a new MMOaholics podcast. That's what we should.
Yeah, well, I've got a list of guests. You're all on that list. It's just gonna be like.
just to forewarn you, I don't actually play any other MMOs currently. I do
Weird.
single player RPGs in my own time.
Fine. I'll just do another one called a single RPG podcast.
We forgive you. We forgive you. We still love
Thank you.
I just
Thank
like
you.
podcasts. I like talking to
appreciate your
people.
forgiveness.
I like talking to people about this stuff because in this, like, I actually raided Merrick. Do you remember? That's his name, isn't it? Yeah, Merrick. And he was playing. He was a big Guild Wars 2 streamer. He doesn't stream as much anymore. He was playing Star Trek Online. And that was around in 2010 and it's very old, but like I played that at launch and there was some systems in that and I was like, damn, there's so many good systems, and they've got like all these actors and actresses coming back from the fucking series that's even out now and they're going back reprising their roles. So like all of these MMOs exist and there's so many ways that people can, this is a real tangent and it's actually my fault. I'm going to blame Kroof for this. Kroof got me onto Rift. You cannot start talking about Rift without me just gushing about it, because I fucking will. Because that game.
Yeah, but what about those ground missions on Star Trek? Come on, they were really good.
They're like, well, I mean, the story's good. They're a bit. The combat's a bit staff targeting randomness where they inserted dodging, and dodging doesn't even dodge damage. It's just for the effect. It's weird.
You just roll.
Yeah, you just roll. You literally just roll.
It's just the old Kirk style Star Trek.
Yeah, basically. Like doing this
dramatic
extreme
movement.
thing.
It does nothing.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Maybe that's why they put it in.
But I never got
beautiful.
to the stage of having sex with green aliens, so I was fairly disappointed, to be honest.
I mean, you can probably get there. I mean, they've got all of the latest stuff. Like, I saw your smiling face there. Hopefully, the hope is there. But there's tons of stuff. Like, there's tons of different MMOs out there right now. Like, there's DC Universe Online, which is really, really fun if you get yourself involved in that and you just want a quick fix of just like being a superhero in a big world of other players. That's pretty cool. And I was actually going to say something as well. What I want to do is I want to come back to this later and use some examples of what Guild Wars 2 could do. There's something that me, like, in Crichton and you can think about this as a little thing. I think Kroof was here when we talked about this before. We talked about a reward track or like a season battle pass thing, and I'm going to pull us back to that later because it's a big thing that I've really want in the game, because Destiny 2 has got me playing the game now because I want to progress through it and I'm actually really enjoying it. But like, we'll get back to that. Anyway, I'm going to go back. So, Kroof, you were saying about you think that the tower in the latest episode, season 1, episode 4, for Guild Wars 2 story, you think they're going to do that in the next episode for Attack on LA? Lion's Arch?
That is the best path forward that I see to mimic what the actual battle for Lion's Arch was like back in like 2013.
Yeah.
What parts of I'm really excited for this because I started playing the week Scarlet attacked Lion's Arch the first time.
Yeah.
And I had a friend run me from Holbrook on my thief the minute they let me out of the home city. We ran all the way to Lion's Arch because all the waypoints were down and I didn't have them anyways. And I just remember the sheer chaos on the outskirts of Lion's Arch. And it was, I think, one of the lieutenant fights.
Yeah.
And I had no context for what the heck was going on. I was so lost and confused. And I'm so excited to see it with context. But I know that there were like several stages to it. There was the actual attack. And then there was fighting your way into the city, rescuing people. And then there was like the cleansing of the city. And then there was a battle with the... Is that the
Breachmaker?
Like,
Yeah, it was like battle. It was like retreating, trying to, and then you went in, you went out, and then you went back in again, and then you fought the Breachmaker.
Okay, so because I was all just hearing this tangentially because I was too low level to survive anything.
It was pretty hectic, actually. Yeah,
it was amazing.
It was very good. I'm going to try and find it and put the footage on.
I mean, I feel like they're going to be hard pressed to kind of reimagine or reignite that kind of feeling when the city was attacked and everything was destroyed and it was just horrifying. I mean, pure, beautiful, fantastic chef's kiss moment in the story. But as a player in the game, it was shocking and wonderful. And I don't know how they're going to kind of like reconjure that. What I would like, Daddy, I Want a Pony, is I want them to open up the Lion's Arch map as it was after have a cutscene, have the attack, and then it is just an open world map, and then we play through it like it was that time. where the map just progresses as it does, and then eventually you
'Cause that's
get
what it
to the
was,
breach maker.
wasn't it? It was essentially an instance, right? I'm pretty sure.
It was just a map. It was just the open world map with all the bosses spawning on it all over the place, and it was fantastic.
It's like Drizzlewood, just like a big war map.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find the footage
Because it was the city of Lion's Arch, so it kind of probably felt instancy because it's not like an open world, one of the bigger maps where other things are happening. It was a map dedicated to this event, right?
Yeah.
The only issue with that would be, how would it feel months after if someone was trying to do it for story purposes? Because it would require, I imagine, a lot of people. And I don't think it would function like any of the other maps where they have metas, but they also are populated with heart quests and vistas and hero points. So that would be nice, but I think it would present some issues for longevity.
I mean, they're doing it, but the way you described it before, I think is good. That, you know.
Yeah, it's slightly different than
possible.
what Fornax was saying, because having that moment where you're kind of cycling it into the world bosses like the Dragonstorm, Marionette, the Nightmare Tower, where you have these like moments or these weeklies where everyone is aware of that and everyone is doing that one specific encounter, that would probably help the longevity, because everyone would key into it and be like, oh yeah, this is happening right now. Open world maps, that would be the dream though. That would be very nice. I would very much like that.
Trying to pull this footage up. It was
have like
really good.
a rotating special rewards to make sure people concentrate on one particular map. Maybe have them all open all the time so you can get friends together and do it. But
oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, when I was rolling through it felt like one sort of long, like champion boss run as you go from one area to another. Each area had, like, it was Cray, there was the Toxic Alliance, they're all dotted around the map, and you were just trying to push through those. And there was also lots of NPC activity though as well on the map, which was lovely, and you get to see the consequences of the attack. But here's the sad thing, you're never going to get the aftermath. So we spent, if you were probably there, right? We spent months on a broken map with people trying to pick up their lives, with shrines to the dead and people weeping openly, and it was an open, and like people digging graves. It was really truly fantastic narrative storytelling through environment. It was amazing, and I'm just so sad that new players are not going to see that. Yeah,
because when I started, Vigil Keep was my gate hub for the entire time that it was. Like I did not know any other gate hub, so it was just weird to then move to Lion's Arch from that, because I'd never seen anything but that cramped, hectic because in game it's supposed to feel very emergency, thrown together. There's construction all over the place trying to keep this hub going, when the Vigil Keep was never made for this.
Yeah. Oh,
sorry,
man.
I'm watching the footage now.
I wanted to put it on so we could remember, because it was I farmed this a lot. I don't think I had a command icon, but this was the first one I did it, because I'm really glad I did this, because I did Let's Plays. Like I was like PvP commentator at this point. I was like PvP only, pretty much. Like I played everything in the game, but like my content was all PvP. Like it was commentating, it was ESL weeklies, and then I'd throw these out every so often, and it would just be like, this video's got like 800 views. No one gives a shit about me and my thoughts about PvE, honestly. They really don't. I mean, why? Like, it's just my own experience, but especially back then. And like, it was just because I loved it. I really did. I really did love these. I love the events. I love just running around. This is my Norn Mesmer. This was my main character. And I would command with it on PvP, like in World v World, because back in the day you could do big, massive portal cloak plays, stealth plays. But I used to like try and command these maps, I think, sometimes as well. I don't think you could be a commander at that point in time, though. But yeah, like the whole zone is just completely messed up. Completely destroyed, and it just looks so cool. So like, I'm just I don't know. how it will
But
work.
unfortunately, they're never going to be able to get that emotional impact because for other players, this had been their home for a year. They were intimately familiar with like every nook and cranny of the city. There were NPCs that were key, and you just, I mean, there was the Biogden's hammer guy I hear quoted all the time, and
Oh
he
my
died
god,
in the
he's not in the
attack.
game. He's not in the
He, like,
game anymore.
canonically-
Yeah. Oh,
he
Biogden's
canonically
hammer, what
died, and there are
savings.
many NPCs that people knew their names. They were like crafting NPCs and merchants and stuff, and their names were on those memorials.
Yeah. And,
And-
you open the map and there's fire around it. I forgot about that. There's just a fire.
And like
It's just
players
fire.
like me who never got to know those characters, it's unfortunately never
There's a
gonna
remix. You have
bury
to
that.
listen to it. Or, like you go onto YouTube and find the Ogden's Hammer song, and it's just this. It's just the NPC going, and then there's this music in the background. It goes by Ogden's Hammer. What savings? And it just like, and then just remixes the words. It's so good. Oh my god, the memories. Sorry, it's really. It was
I'm
really
actually
fun.
making a note to see that.
Oh, do it. Absolutely. It's worth it. It's hilarious. But like the map is gold. Like it really was. Like everything was destroyed. There was just like NPCs all over there. Like the map had the big drill, like Scarlet's drill on the map. Like it just looked good. Like you felt like this was a real dangerous thing, big change in the game that would change something forever. Like it would, and it did. Like,
Yeah.
and now we've got what we've got. But like, you know, it still feels like that
And you
happened
had
recently.
like the oh gosh, there's a word for it, but almost the invasive feeling of something familiar being destroyed, which I
Yeah.
it's sad to me that I'm never going to get to experience that way.
Well, I've actually got a video. After this, before this happened, they told us to go there to make sure if we wanted to witness it, like this is when it's going to happen and it's going away.
Mm-hmm.
And I did like a big tour of Lion's Arch. I just went around everywhere and I just went and saw all the things. I'll show that in a minute. But like it was a proper thing. Like I was sad. I was very sad that it was going to be destroyed because it was so unique. But then I was like, you know, and I don't know if there's anyone else felt this way, but like he was like, well, they made this, so surely the next place is going to be better. But you know, we all have different aesthetic, you know, opinions about things. Wow, and like Harold's face just says it all, really. But look at how much destruction is going on the
It's
screen.
different.
It's like
It was surely
It's
different.
definitely different. It's definitely different.
See, I saw this before I saw my first world boss.
But there's so many dead people on
Honestly,
the ground.
this is a great introduction to Guild Wars 2, honestly.
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good.
It was
event.
beautiful.
Especially back in the day when like the effect LOD did nothing. So you were getting
yeah.
like 2 frames and like fire and like white flashes of light were going off every second.
Oh my god! I don't even know how my PC played this game at all.
I was on a laptop.
Oh,
My friend's like,
shit.
okay, you just stand way back. Here's a corner that should be safe for you. Just
They're like-
stay back there because there's no way you're dodging any of it.
They're like, target the enemy and then just look at the ground.
There should be a corner that's safe for you. Oh my god!
I was like, I think level 12 by the time we made it there.
Right, okay.
We had run on foot and I had died so much because I started at level 8, I think. I was stark naked, had no armor, no gear, no like your starter weapons. So yeah, it was very much this corner should kind of be safe for you.
Bless. Well, I mean, I think the quintessential like Guild Wars 2 like vanilla boss is where you have to have a fire blanket next to your PC just in case. That's the,
Like a fan blowing on the inside with the side case off. Yeah. I used to have a friend who
it
played
turns
that.
into a space heater. You turn all your heating
It'd
off.
be
it's
okay
fine.
during the winter and autumn months. You'd just be like, yeah, like heating
Yeah.
bill would go. Be
Well, I
fine.
mean, that's part of why I had to cut down streams through the summers. My computer heats up this week so
Ah.
much.
Yeah, I used to have that problem. Fun times. Yeah, lowest graphic settings, but you know, I didn't do that with mine. I was just like, I don't care. I'm gonna get 2 frames. I don't care. I just want to see the
They're a
monitor look
beautiful
good.
2 frames.
Yeah, as long as I put down like Chaos Storm in areas from time to time, like I'm gonna get like some kind of contribution to this, you know?
Yeah,
Proof
I'm
space.
I needed a
curious
close
how
up.
they're going to do it.
Oh, okay.
I'm so cute. I'm so curious how they're going to do it.
Very
Yeah.
curious.
I think they're probably
so,
going to
yeah.
lean more towards Kroof's idea rather than just having as it being like a world event like Dragon's Den, where it starts off there's a kind of like then there might be like the cutscene initial for the arrival of them, and then rather than having the wait, that's when we just go in and we go through as a group and then get to the Breachmaker and then unlock the
I would
the
like a
strike at the
split
other end.
though. I would like it to be a split kind of like rather than a route that you will go through. I would like to have that because I think that's what happened before. Maybe they got a little bit more refined, but I think you had to be split up in different areas to do different events.
I remember
and it
you
didn't feel
having
like...
to take down the different lieutenants at a certain within a certain time of each other. Wasn't this one of the early coordinated kills?
Yeah, something like that, or within the time limit at least. I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was so long ago.
And I feel like they're probably going to update these bosses with like the bounty buffs, which I'm not a fan of a lot of those bounty buffs, but they've been updating a lot of the boss encounters in season 1 with those bounty buffs. And I don't know if we actually like gave enough feedback on those back in Path of Fire, because there's a couple of them that I'm still like, this just doesn't feel fun to play against. And because they're so random too.
The thing is, the bounties were always, it was a random grab of which buffs you got, and the bounties never stopped you from progressing any story. So yeah, I can see why only the people who don't mind doing them keep doing them. So yeah, we never got a lot of feedback on them.
I got a couple bad bounty buff pulls in the Nightmare Tower fighting Forgul. And we were there for like 15 minutes, just like trying. And it was a public group, so there was like 30 of us. We're just like, we're struggling here.
Man, that's annoying.
What if we're all wrong and it's a full raid? What if they just turn the entirety of LA into a raid?
Talk about it. I'll be right back. I want to hear
a raid
it. Go on,
and
go
a
on.
strike mission the same episode. Fornax, I like the way you think. I'd be very happy with that.
I mean, because you could do it. So you could have like the main open world as like different raid bosses for the different factions of the Molten Alliance and the Toxic Alliance, and you could have a boss or 2 bosses each for those, and then defeating those unlocks the Breachmaker, and then you work through to Scarlet, who is the final boss of the raid, or doing those side bosses unlocks a strike mission or something like that. I mean, it's a contained map. It's massive. I mean, just think about how big the first raids were. They were huge, right? They were like just open world maps that they decided to turn into raid instances. They could totally do it. And just imagine the hype in the community. We got a new raid.
Honestly, I was leaning more towards no, because I think an element that made it feel so special was that there were so many players on that map. But the way that you framed it, it's making me enjoy the concept of it being a raid a little bit more, because it could be done, and it is cinematically a spectacle enough for a raid wing to have like the old of Lion's Arch, and then once you kill all the bosses, you can go around and explore it more freely and all that stuff. You know what? I kind of like that idea if it was a raid, but
I mean, if Obsidian, if they had the attrition mechanic in the game, so that they could have so you have a moat for the attrition mechanic that you turn on so that it is progressively easier for new players, and then you have like a black moat for the raiders that they can so it gets progressively more difficult as they go through the raid, and you know, anything in between. You could have like a row of moats that people can interact with to decide what type of encounter that they want to do, how the difficulty can go up and down. Because the thing that stopped me raiding as a dirty casual is the fact that it's always as difficult as it is. It doesn't matter what you do. There's no mitigating it with gear. You have to go in and you have to do it, and if you can't do it and you're a bad group, before they had this mitigating mechanic, it didn't matter. You could rub your face off on it all night and be a bloody mess at the end of it and not get anywhere. But now you've got the attrition mechanic, right? You can actually progress even if you're a bit rubbish, which is lovely. because you
I
gotta
think
embrace the
they've-
bit rubbish.
They've learned a lot from strike missions and this emboldened system, so I don't think ArenaNet would be making endgame content, especially with the Living World release, that would be at that level that people have in their mind when it comes to raiding. I feel like a part of the community has also made raiding inaccessible the way that they have spoken about it, and the required elements that they say that you need for it. Raiding is fairly accessible even without the emboldened system. But I think they've definitely learned a lot, and I would say whatever they do in the future with the strike missions and or a raid, we've seen a lot more people come into the strike missions, so I have faith that it wouldn't be super difficult and super it wouldn't push people out too much.
Well, I mean, could you like relate this to the rest of the game though as well, and making more rewards and more replayability for things like, Drizzlewood Coast hard mode, Drizzlewood Coast, normal, and like, other things like would it, and the enhanced rewards, like it would actually be tough. Like if you didn't, like there would be like really devastating things, and you need to have like a certain amount. Like they could add all these mechanics to I don't know. That would be, because I kind of
they
like
would have
this
to be
idea.
guild missions.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Which actually
Well, like
would
world
be pretty
bosses.
terrific.
Yeah, if you had like a map dedicated to a guild or something.
It would be a little strange if it was just like an open world thing that people opted into. It would further isolate the groups, but if it was like specifically a raid, a guild mission for that week or something.
Or like, because you can spawn to Quaddle as a guild.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of getting at.
Invite everybody in. Like it can be an open map thing. You just make sure your guild's all in the same map and then say, hey, our guild is doing this hard mode world boss event.
It's
Anyone
kinda
want
funny.
in?
Yeah, no,
excited.
I think that's perfect. It's kind of funny. So I've been in so many like world boss groups where people are desperately trying to spawn a new map, and I don't know why they just won't let a commander spool up a map to have the event, even if it's only within a specific time period. So within 15 minutes either side of the boss spawning, you can spool up another map so that you don't have to
And I don't
kick
know.
people off an existing map. Or
I don't know about the implications of that on the game and how it would run.
yeah, I know that they've got weird server spooling going on to try and. I mean, it's great because you never face a queue, but there are downsides to it, and
Mega servers, yeah.
yeah,
Combines all the community, because if you think about it, like if you had everyone's server still, I mean, the reason why mega servers exist is so that you see other people in the world, because MMORPGs over time, because they're on server base, you just don't start to see people. You're playing a single player game because the game becomes so like PvE. People don't run around maps anymore. There's no reason unless you have like a Steam release or something like that, Otherwise, that's one of the main reasons why mega servers exist in the first place, I guess. But like, it's to really focus people down. I know what you're saying. It would be cool if there were just more instance based, like you open an instance of a thing, like you said, as a guild mission, you could be and then it would be a guild, and then it would do something with guilds, and it would be Guild Wars 2 again.
Yeah.
Instead of just Wars 2, which is kind of what it still is.
Wars also.
Just, yeah, we've got some wars.
TOO.
Somewhere. Okay. That event, I can't remember how long that lasted, like an hour or so or something like that, but like it was very fun, and there was so many I feel like commander tag wasn't too long, and like the commander tag was in there for, because there's just commanders everywhere. Actually, that was 20 minutes.
It was before the commander the squad overhaul where they gave all the commander tools with the sub squads and the markers and everything.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
The tags were literally just map markers at that point.
They were, weren't they? Yeah. Okay. God damn, was so wow. How did that even?
If my hypothesis is true, I think that the Battle for Lion's Arch open world event will feel much better than the Tower of Nightmares. Tower of Nightmares is a bit of a maze to navigate, and it's tiered as well. So if you fall behind, with Lion's Arch, it's a bit more of a flat area. So I have high expectations of whatever they do to bring back that sentiment of the Battle for Lion's Arch.
Like I kind of expect it to feel like when you fall behind the squad in the Mad King's Labyrinth, where you're alone and you're afraid, and there are things trying to kill you at every corner, and every now and then this horrible thing spawns and just kills you.
I like it.
The terror.
I'm going to push us through a little bit onto a little bit more, because we're going into good stuff. We're thinking about things that are coming, which is good. A roadmap map would be probably quite good soon.
Isn't that coming next
Love
week?
to see that
Is
soon.
that actually coming next week?
I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it was Grouch or another dev said like it was
Okay.
coming after the balance patch, which is next week.
Okay, all right. So good about
That'd be
like
amazing. I love that.
the one we've got. I'll just pull this up. The last one we got was.
When do you think? Because we've got what? The Halloween festival.
Yeah.
We've got 2 more chapters of this Living World season, or is
more.
it just the one?
more
Just the one.
episode,
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think they had implied that they wanted to start the next season.
That's where we're going.
Living
We're
World.
almost there. We're getting close. We're getting close.
We
to our
just got a
structure,
lot.
I promise we're getting there.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Trevor
You're
was
fine.
like, not
You're
yet.
fine. Not yet.
Not yet.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna
Spoilers.
think
Oh
about
my
the fun
god.
times. Okay, so we've done. So think about it. This was the roadmap they had, all the kind of features. It was Living World 3 and 4 episodes of season 1. Festival of Four Winds done. End of Dragons update. Krakatoa Generation 3. Gameplay updates. World v World restructuring beta. I think they did 1. They will do 1. I don't remember if they did 1 or if they did 2 or if they even did 1 now. I think they did 1. I can't remember. And then 10th anniversary, which was a thing. So they did that. Yeah, that's what they did. And now we are getting to a place which we will talk about as well. I've got a process, everyone, as I always do. It's a slow process, but it's there. I'm old. Oh dear, it's all very, very painful. There was yes, the professional update we've got next week, which is October the 4th, is more PvP / World v World, but there is big updates in there as well for like things like changes like Druid, the Mesmer changes, you get distortion back, etc, etc, etc. So lots of people are excited about that. PvP will probably get an influx for about a week, and it'll die again. Cool. You know, it's just the way it is. It's been happening ever since 2016. It's just the way it is. Episode 5 season 1 should be coming out October. As they said, month by month, right? Didn't they?
It's been a 2-month cadence, so I'm guessing November.
Was it 2 months?
Yeah, it's been 2 months.
No,
consistently.
I don't want it to be that.
We don't want things
Okay,
to
it can't
be
be that.
Jebro.
I thought it was month. I thought they said it was going to come out
No.
monthly.
It's been every 2 months,
Whoa,
Jebro.
when did
This
episode
started-
3 come out?
Episode 3. I mean, we can look.
Yeah. I need to know. Like, I need to know because I thought it was every month. I thought they were saying month. Yeah, don't worry about us. PvP is. No one cares.
I don't think they want to do anything in November because World of Warcraft is launching its expansion in November, isn't it? I don't know how much crossover
November
there
is
is.
just a very big month for all of gaming. There's going to be a lot of launches they're fighting with.
Yeah, but they go on a long holiday for Christmas. They get like 2 weeks. So
Which is amazing. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
it's
them
good.
for that.
But like, yeah, if they don't
They've
release
gotta
something in
prep for
November,
it.
like we're going to be waiting a fair while.
Mm.
Trying to find it on a wiki. It's so hard.
I don't see the benefit of launching stuff over Christmas when people are like running around with their hair on fire trying to see everyone in their family. I
You keep
don't.
talking about people with hair on fire. Can you please?
I know
I don't
it's
have
a
hair.
thing.
Like, I don't know.
His personal experiences you're
facial hair.
reliving.
It's like, maybe I could.
I have set my hair on fire once, so I guess I am got a bit of PTSD. So sorry.
Yeah. Clockwork Chaos released July, and then episode 4 released September.
Really? So it's 3
Yeah,
months.
it's been 2 months.
thought they were
No,
trying
that
to-
was there's a month break, and then it's the next. That's how
Oh yeah,
it's been.
sorry. Yeah, one more thing
Episode,
about two.
episode,
Sorry.
episode, month break, episode.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so they came out September, October, November. So then by that cadence, they're not gonna potentially have another story episode. They're not gonna start the next season until next year. Is that what we
Yeah, I'm
think?
guessing season 6 or whatever they end up calling it will probably be late
Hopefully
January
they
or
don't call
early
it
February.
flipping Saga. Jesus.
No, I think it should get its own unique title, but I don't think the
Yeah.
title of Saga is like, it's not Saga : whatever it is.
It's the new Saga. It should, yeah. I think you're right. Actually, I think that would be a good idea. We can go into this realm now. Let's meander through the never-ending. I mean, balance patches always bring new content in a way, but it's not content specifically. Like, it's not like story. It's not like new stuff. It's like changes. There is some new stuff, and balance patches honestly are my content. I love that, but I feel for the people who aren't getting like big content. There was a blog post I have found here right at the end, because I was trying to find news, and I was like, all the news is skins on flipping like on the flipping trading post. I was just like, Jesus, there's so many. They're just money. I was like, it was so many. If you go on the
Mr.
website,
Krabs.
I was like, yeah. And so here they're saying in the blog post, they say, right, they do the call to arms thing, they do the Steam. Beyond the 10th anniversary and Steam launch, there's so much on the horizon that we're excited about. Some of the big items are the final 2 episodes of Living World Season 1 return, plus a new strike mission and challenge mode. Right, so there's going to be the next episode and a strike.
Which has got to be
Finally.
Scarlet. Yeah,
Which has got to be Scarlet, right?
it's got to be Scarlet.
Which is also going to feel a little, I don't know, maybe just personally, it's like we kind of already fought a version of Scarlet and then of Dragons. So this one is also going to
honestly,
be...
if we fought Scarlet and a strike, I would love it. I would. I love
We already
I love
did
Scarlet.
in
No, but that wasn't
Aetherblade.
her.
It was literally her model. Anyways.
It wasn't her. It was a hologram, wasn't it? Kind of. But yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm excited for the mechanics and the arena.
Yeah, I mean it'll be a new, and they say a new location and story to experience in Camphor, and I'm like, but the thing is, as they announce all these things, they say a new location, they say world v world updates, including world restructuring and alliances. Alliances is now years and years and years of really, it's just. What is going on? Like what is actually happening? I mean, they had betas, and like almost at this point where I'm like, our alliances gonna be that impactful to World v World? Like, I mean, they're gonna be cool. Obviously, you get to play with your friends and guilds and stuff, and at the same time, I'm like, there's not really any new systems. Like the game mode isn't changing. They're not getting any refreshed looks. They're not getting any new maps. They're not getting anything really that new. They're getting a system which matches people up. But by now, people have worked out ways to get to places they want to play in if they really want to play it. I know it's going to make it easier. I just don't know. Like, unless they bring something with alliances, I'm like, I feel like it's going to be cool. But then they drop this thing, and they're like, not to mention that our next expansion is in early development, and I'm like, what? What's the time scale of all this stuff? Like, is the alliances going to be the next expansion? And I'm just like, is that when alliances is going to come? Because I think we maybe thought it was going to come with End of Dragons, but we're still not there. And I think part of me is like, I'm never going to not play Guild Wars 2 at the end of the day, but there is part of me where I really thought the End of Dragons was a really good change of... I'm going to sound really critical and harsh right now, so will preempt this with that comment, because I feel like it's still a problem. They communicated some things and they don't happen. I think balance has improved somewhat, and I think they've still got sort of ways to go in terms of like delivery, timing, everything else like that. I understand it's not as easy as saying, we're going to do it more frequently and that's going to be easy to do. I get that. But it's still like release of content and also just some news and communication. Like the communication's been really, really good, but I feel like it's sometimes like, where has the stuff been really? Like what has been new and incoming like frequently as a game? Like if you think about other games like Final Fantasy XIV, I just always hear about new shit. Always hear about new stuff. I'm just like, there's a new expansion next year. Like Destiny 2, there's a new expansion next year, late next year. They know when it's coming out. There's a new season pass in Destiny 2. There's a new, in Star Trek Online, there's flipping news about people coming from the episodes in the TV series doing voiceovers and episodes and new content for a game that's 12 years old. And like, I'm just like, when it comes to Guild Wars 2, I'm like, sometimes we might hear someone talk in some stream somewhere and we'll see it on Reddit. Like, maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like there is part of me where I'm a little bit like, what's happening? Where are we going? What's going on? I'd like a little bit more info. Does that sound harsh? I don't know if that sounds harsh.
No.
I get the sentiment. I think they have been able to adhere to what they've said with increased cadence of content. It doesn't, so they've been able to release stuff every 2 months, which is very nice. But my criticism doesn't come on the actual like timing or living up to those statements. It's more so what they chose
I agree.
to release.
Absolutely.
It's the type of content that they're releasing. And I understand that you have to get season 1 out, but to not have any strike missions come in with season 1 is a little bewildering to me from an MMO perspective. When we look at other MMOs, and I understand that the scales of budget differ, but for strike missions, they're supposed to be very easy to implement because they are recycling bosses from the story.
Yeah.
They're not creating any new assets that aren't being used elsewhere. They're not creating any new arenas that aren't already being used elsewhere. And when you look at other MMOs, each update usually has endgame content attached to that in the form of dungeons, in the form of raids. And I was under the impression that they were going to be doing strike missions so that they could keep up that cadence because raids took so long. But it's felt like strike missions are taking equally as long as raids to develop. And we're not getting anything new.
I think you hit it on the head when you said, what is the new stuff that is going to be made? That's because they are and it's not like that's the one of the things where with you where I'm like, yeah, like that. I didn't even say that. I didn't even think about that. Like they've released stuff, but what's the new? Where's the new? Like, can we see some concept art of like where we're going to for Camphor? You know, and we can talk about that in a minute. We can get excited, and I can be less negative. But like, I don't like to say negative. I'm just being critical of the game. But like. That sounds worse. It sounds worse. But there is that feeling, like you said, you know, they're just bringing the stuff out. It's got the same features. Yes, there is new parts to these maps, and there's new voice lines, and there's new story elements, and there's new bits and bobs in there. But essentially, most of the work must be done for them to revisit and pull it back in. Like, you know. They're still bringing back a lot of the old assets, the old art, all this kind of stuff. I'm not saying that it's not a lot of work. I don't want that to come across that way, and it is a lot of work. But is everyone just like, they're on the expansion already? They're going to have a lot of people there. But they've also got people on Camphor, rest of Camphor, the next season. It would just be nice as the year is coming to kind of an end, what is going on? And maybe they're leaving it until this season's done. This first season is done. I don't know.
My brothers play Warframe.
Oh yeah, cool.
So I'll like tune in with them to watch the Warframe live streams, and the level of like interactivity and the willingness to drop hints and to say this stuff isn't going to be in the game for possibly years to come, but it's really exciting and we want to share this little tiny to like share a concept art, or their willingness to communicate and to engage. I know that they probably get a lot of negative interaction because of that, because gamers are gamers, and there is this nasty entitled underbelly into every community where, you know, they'll share a concept art that ends up not being in the game, and they'll get crap for that. But I wish that ArenaNet would have that confidence to just like get excited with us. Don't just tell us you're excited in the background when we get our once a year little update from you. Hype, because it can be really scary when you're making something to be hyped about it, because there's always the risk of under delivering what people expect. There's always the risk of somebody coming in and just being nasty and tearing down your hype or whatever it is. But there's so many Guild Wars players that want to be excited and want to be hyped, even for things that are years in the future. The tiny little here and there, just constant excitement would be really cool to see, and I always get a little jealous.
We haven't had that conversation for a long time, actually, to be fair. Like, we used to have that conversation a lot until they started bringing out all the stuff, and we had those streams that we would have, like, Croof remembers, like, must remember, like, this podcast was ridiculous. Like, it was every Friday. And like, do you remember leading up to End of Dragons, the amount of things we watched on the podcast, and the amount of, like, we were talking about different classes and specs, and, like, you don't remember, like, all of the lead up to End of Dragons, like all the streams they had? And we
watched stuff.
Yeah, we did, like, the podcast, and we were watching live.
This is a podcast?
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, I don't recall.
Croof doesn't remember because it was like...
I don't remember. It was
so
5,000 years ago.
But, like, we had... Oh, god damn it.
I
Anyway,
that was
we got
great.
really excited about it for a long time.
And maintaining that hype.
Yes.
And that's the one criticism of End of Dragons, is that it sucks because it's such a strong expansion and then immediately back to the past.
Yes.
So
oh my god, that's so true.
There's radio silence again.
Oh my god.
Not in terms. I think their communication's actually been really great. So I don't. Yeah. But in terms of the content and everything, because you can't.
Oh my god.
How can you really build that hype for something that people have already experienced? Yeah. People get hype for the newness. And granted, there have been a lot of improvements with season 1, and it's been really. There
have been good things.
It's flowing really, really well, but. Yeah. That new element for me was the strike missions. Yeah. It's like the new format of strike missions. And I think that was the one thing that was maybe a missed opportunity to keep veterans more enthused. And then having those weekly live streams about going over the production of the strike missions and the concept art and how they made all that stuff. And like getting, even the live streams themselves have been limited to like balance updates from the past. So yeah.
Oh my god!
But with how many? Sorry.
No, go.
No. With how many new players there are, and even just people like me who never experienced season 1, this is new, and they could talk about it as if it's not as if it were just brand new. Oh my gosh, this has never happened before. But they couldn't do that experience of through a new player's eyes, experiencing the story for the first time and why it's so cool. And you could milk easily like a half-hour live stream with the devs of them going back and polishing up this content that they remember playing themselves, or that they remember working on the first time. And you can get hyped over very simple things.
I agree with all of that, and I think that you're right. I think that they seem to have dropped off, and I feel like they're trying to balance we're introducing this thing for the longevity of the game, for the long term, and yet they're at the sacrifice, at the expense of the veterans who have been waiting now since the last big drop of new content. So yeah, I think it's kind of short-sighted. And I remember you saying, Jebro, like many times, like ESO brings something out and it's hardly anything. It's a story mission. It's something, but they hype it. They get people desperate to come into the game. And I think that, I don't know. I mean, I think ArenaNet have never really rung their own bell enough. They've never really like called from the rooftops enough and kind of proselytized enough for their own product. And they leave a lot of that to content creators like us. And I think that we do our best, but you can't match a sophisticated, focused advertising campaign with a disparate community of novice content creators. Yeah. As much as we would want to, and as much as we're trying, I'm a novice. Some of you guys are professional. But as much as we try, even in the best will in the world, you're one person trying to, it's not like we've all got together in our little cabal and we decided that we're going to do this big thing. And I mean, that might be an idea, but I also
Unionize.
Unionize Guild Wars 2 coming to careers.
I also think that they're suffering from. I remember Mo coming out, and there was a lot of criticism because it's a lot of criticism about the legendary weapons and how they weren't delivered in Heart of Thorns. And Mo came out and he said, "We don't want to bark about what's going to come. We want to just deliver for you without the fanfare."
God, that
Remember
phrase,
that?
surprise and delight you.
Oh God!
I hated that phrase so much. It was like, dude, we don't live in like 2000. It's 2020 something. Please live in the world of the now. We don't need to wait for games to come onto the shelves to witness and get excited for them. We can talk about them now. I just wasn't a massive fan of them, to be fair. Like, it was just like all this stuff on just the way the game is so much better now. It's so much better now, like director-wise and everything else. Like, I am so happy that Colin is there and Josh is there. Like, I am so happy. But you're right, there's still this stuckness where, and Kroof said it as well, and it was so funny when you said it. I was just like, oh my God. You were like, there's so much hype for End of Dragons, and then you go back to the past. And then I was like, no, the past of like what? But like, I know you said like season 1, obviously, but like then I was thinking about the past and I was like, where are we now? Like, there's not as much as I would like, you know, communication, excitement, hype that Scottish is talking about, and also learning about that, which is what Fornax is saying, and going forward. And it's like, we are very responsible for that. Like, I feel like we have to carry the game sometimes. It really does feel like we are the word of mouth, and I get that, but like, you can only do so much to a degree. Like, it's weird. Like, I do know what I mean. You know what I mean, right? I saw a little nod from people. I know, I'm not sure if your avatar can do a nod for an X, but like,
not yet.
I don't know, but like, there is that feeling sometimes. And there was all of these awesome, like, just live streams. Those live streams were just the life of Guild Wars 2. Like, you would get so many people in, and the content and everything and the excitement that build up around those would just spread through like other communities and other MMOs, you know.
Which is why I hope they continue to do the live streams for the balance previews, because that was like the first live stream that I remember in recent past where I was like, oh, there's a lot of people on here chatting and having that community engagement, and it was new content in the sense of... They're only
3 times a year though. That's the thing.
4 or 5.
I mean, I guess, depending when it hits that 4th one, I guess. But like, you know, it's like, but that's the thing. It's only, but you could do like every week they have the art show, right? I don't know. Like, could they like filter some concept art we've not seen, and just anything? Like, it would just be cool.
Something
I don't know.
That as content creators, like, we can hype, we can talk about it, we can play it all day, but that's something very uniquely that the devs have. We don't have concept art. We can't do any sneaky reveals at the end of our live streams of something cool that some dev has been working on. We can't show off even like scrapped art that never got used.
Concept art showcases of what was in End of Dragons that, you know, we got a little bit of that with like Echo Valley Forest and I assume the Jade Sea with like the mushroom stuff. But even those elements, it just kind of, it sparks that, oh, I remember, like, oh, this is exciting, because we never saw this information before. That's why I tend to scour the art station, because you can find some developers on there who post their art, and you can see some cool things that you've never seen before. So go check that out.
Very true.
I've just realized I'm so desperate for concept art that I've gone to an AI machine to make some myself.
Exactly.
And I'm
that's
posting
it.
it.
Yeah, I love that.
Shit.
That's good. It's not shit. Like, but I know what you mean. I know what you're saying. But
oh my gosh.
It's good. It is, and I don't want people to listen that are listening to this think that we're kind of shitting or ruining it, you know, or anything like that. It's not what it is. All it is that feeling of, you know, I'd like some excitement and some positive kind of, not positive, but like some oomph. Do you know what I mean? Some like
We
oomph.
love this game. We love the community. We love the world. We love a lot of what the company is doing is really, really cool stuff. And we had this poster up in my husband's office for a while. And it is work hard in silence, let success be your noise. And this is a lot of us were kind of raised with this mentality of if you just work really hard, you'll be recognized for the things that you've done. And we have realized just over time just how completely BS that is. Working hard in silence doesn't get you promotions. It doesn't get you raises. It doesn't get you a recognition. It doesn't get any of that for a company either. And I just want them to talk about the cool things they're doing and their successes and their failures and their
Isn't that
the
representative?
journey of it all.
It sounds like the achievement system. It just sounds like the achievement. It's a theme though. Like these themes pop up. Like the achievement system is exactly what you said. Like, you know, it's a fine example of them doing such a good job with something, but not giving access to it in an easy way where people can just be like, wow, this is actually very cool.
Brag about yourselves a bit.
Yeah.
And I think that
don't
was
know.
a really
That's
big missed
funny.
opportunity
Good job.
during their 10th anniversary live stream.
Yeah.
They were very busy with the Steam release, and it's worked out extremely well and very beneficial. And they've also been able to maintain such a fantastic pace of content. So all that's fantastic. But to continue with this thought of leaving us with something that makes us wanting more, like having that moment of a 10-year anniversary, and also knowing that the next story beats and the next new content probably won't come until 2023.
Yeah.
That was probably a great moment to at least share some concept art, because if we got concept art for expansion 3 to like a year or two before, maybe having a little bit of concept art or some slight teaser of what is next to come with Cantha, to show that off during the 10th anniversary. That was something that I've also heard people were a little bit, disappointed in, but
And
I'm willing to wait because they have been able to hit this content pace, which I think is extremely commendable as we went through many periods of long droughts. So if this is any indication of what they're able to pull off with the next season or in the next story, that is a great sign. Every other month, story content, hopefully with the next story content, each episode would also come with a strike mission as well. So I hope whatever they are working on is able to be upkept.
Okay, let's push it. We can help, and we can help. We can talk about what we feel like. We can maybe push the hype a little bit further. We've probably got a while. We've been going for like an hour and a half or so. It's okay. And we can get some excitement and joy and potentially. What is your face? What are you doing, Chris?
Oh, my groin, my hip joint popped. Oh.
Oh, sometimes I can feel good though.
I went to the gym yesterday, and doing those leg exercises, and sometimes it like pops. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
In
good. I don't feel that good when that happens, but thank you so much. If anyone else has an experience live that they want to share that makes you feel that good in the after a gym session, session,
your body's in recovery, everything's a little tight and sore.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, so we're going to the things now. If the stream is lagging or anything, let me know. I don't think we've got any drop frames. I think it looks like maybe I had 1.4 or something earlier. Maybe, I'm not too sure. I think it's okay now though. But
what if we're just lagging in real life?
Could be. So
no, I've done that because of a migraine. It is a very strange experience.
What's this one? Oh my god. Okay, I'm going to push us through to this. So there was that new story expansion. So, new story, let's think about this. It's going to be in Cantha. It's going to be season 6, potentially, working title.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, we'll reference season 6.
We'll reference season 6, because that's where we are. With the dragons, pretty much, all gone. All that's done and dusted. Dragon cycle, we've gone round in the circle. Is it going to be brand new stuff? And I know that Ryan Herald, aka Forcax.
I like it.
Forcax. Fornex is going to be happy about it because they have some notes, which no one ever gives me notes, okay, for the podcast. Crichton Herald did, okay, just saying. Good job. I've got them, but you're going to talk about it.
Am I? Oh, fuck.
If you want to. I mean, you don't have to, but we can drop it in the conversation we're talking about it. Where do we think we're going, people? What are we doing? Let's get some excitement. What
I think
awesome
we're going
things?
back to Alona. Just kidding.
Fuck off.
You yourself said we're going back to Canthus. So you're like, where are we going?
Shots are fired.
Was it that
I'm trying to
God.
dodge them. I'm trying to note it was the combination of that, and then I saw shots fired coming up. So I'm just enjoying that. There's a lot going on when Fornax is here because they've got so much stuff that they pop up with. It makes me tickles my funny bits. Wow.
Please, God, nobody clip that. For fuck's sake.
HR.
Yeah.
Laugh more. We don't have an HR department. They're gone. They died. I'm sorry.
They were worn right out.
Yeah.
Run ragged.
They left. They didn't get fired. They just left. What are we doing in the world?
In fairness, the notes that I gave you was like all the kind of narrative threads that are currently left frayed. They're loose threads that the writing team could pick up and run with for any kind of scale of narrative that you want, from the Lagos to the consequences and the fallout of the death of the Elder Dragons, like what the consequences for the Asura. Are the Asura going to head back underground now Primordus is dead? Are the Norn going to separate out? Because if you remember in the original games, the Norn were very disparate, very libertarian, very insular. They cared about their hunt and their personal goals. They didn't give there was no big camps. There was small family camps. If you played the game, and they were all in the far Shiver Peaks. Well, not everyone who did play Guild Wars, in fairness.
Do you even play the game?
That's why we've got Fornax here, because Fornax is someone that plays the game. So
occasionally. But they were all in the far Shiver Peaks, right? That's where we actually originally ran into them, and that's where Jebro was and all the rest of them, where we encountered the voice of John for the first time. So there's like all that stuff there. There might be like disparate tribes. There's like, is the connection between the Coda and the Norn real? Are they the same? Are they the same people separated by magics and kind of like a different destiny? We've got the fate of the spirits of the wild. We've got the what's going to happen with the magic now, because an entire society is run on Jade Tech, and they've just lost their power supply.
That's true.
And then we've got the Char, who the only thing really that's been restraining the Char from attacking and going into all-out war with the human races is the fact that the Elder Dragons were a threat. So yes, they've got this peace treaty, but we've always had the separatists. We've always had the separatists on both sides wanting to continue that conflict. And now there's nothing standing in their way. So you have a massively militaristic society whose entire ethos is based on war and nobody to fight. So there's like huge amounts of narrative threads.
Who is the main enemy then? Yeah, I guess that's another thought.
I mean, it would be the humans, because the humans traditionally displaced them. They drove them off their lands. And then, of course, why were the humans there in the first place? Well, then you've got the 6 elder gods. They fucked off and left us. Where did they go? Are they coming back now that the dragon threat is all sort of sorted out for them?
Are our friends coming from space to get us?
And why did they bring a huge population of humans to this planet only to abandon them to almost assured destruction? And
that part. If they came back, it's fighting. If I see you, punching you in the throat. Cormier, you better be scared.
Yeah. I mean, and like, is there going to be like a wave of
Jesus.
secularism and atheism running through the human population because now they see that that their gods are just empowered humans, and that at the first sign of difficulty they just fucked off and left everybody.
Yeah, I would want
very on point
some. I'd want some repercussions for that if they ever bring that storyline back to the main center stage. I would want there to be like a really spending time talking about that reaction in terms of a religion and spirituality sense.
Oh, man.
I mean, are we ripping down all the statues? And is Jade Tech gonna like infect everywhere? Is it gonna like run through like the technologies that we have? There are so many narrative threads, not to mention like, so when the Icebrood Saga launched, we had that beautiful cinematic trailer with all the Lovecraftian darkness raising from the sea. We know it's not Suon. What's in there? Is that where we're gonna get our Lovecraft story with all the darkness and the danger and the kind of otherworldliness that we were promised? There's like
specifically
huge amounts.
With season 6 being in Cantha, I definitely think we're going to be, and I've seen it in chat, we're probably going to be going back to Drowned Kaineng and dealing with the strange dark magics that might be popping up there. And something tells me that we're also going to be encountering the Ministry of Purity again. Minister Lee is still in prison. Maybe he's going to have a little bit of a prison break and might be our main villain or something like that.
Yeah,
I think
out of prison as easy as we could at the beginning of Indian.
Oh yeah, no, he'll be fine.
He'll probably be all right.
For that says material for several videos. I do like have a I can talk about this shit endlessly. Sorry.
No, don't apologize. Just giving us a lot of good things to think about because. You know, I mean, there is, but this is the thing, like, because we're still in Camphor, and this is something we can think about as well, like, how likely is it that those threads get picked up? Like, a lot of that stuff is core Tyria as well. Yeah. So, like, do they do it where they pick it up in core Tyria and they're also in Camphor as well when they go to a fro and actually, like, but we've got these races that are kind of, you know, more dominant in Camphor as well, and the Death Dragon. So you're like, what do we do? Are we gonna like exploring new stuff, or are we gonna leave old stuff? Like, is that good? Is it bad? Like,
well, I mean, there's a massive amount of Tengu in Camphor,
yeah.
So we could strangely unlock the Dominion of Winds via Camphor, which is the route that I hope that we would actually take to get to Camphor. But that
might be going the opposite direction.
Very cool.
I mean, if
cool.
proximity, I think it's to do with the dark magic. I think it's to do with the jade. I think it's to do with what drove Suan and the rest of them out of the ocean. And that could include, please God, the Lagos. Please.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. The fucking coolest race that we haven't actually got to interact with enough at all. Please give us Lagos.
I think we will see Largos, as they did pop up in End of Dragons in 2 events, which if they weren't going to be entertaining the Largos, I don't think they would have utilized the Largos who were hunting the Leviathan. And with it being deep sea and, you know, in their territory, if we do go down into the depths, the depths could also have something to do with the dark magic that's occurring in Drowned Kaineng. So, Saya Arajir, would you like to come back to the story? I love her. I'd like to see more of you, Largos.
Yes.
Yeah. That one. I mean, okay. So you think about the Lagos. Oh, damn. There's more things now. Can they all fit in one season? I mean, the thing is, and then remember, as also you got to have in the back of your head, the thing they've said is that there is another expansion down the way as well. So like leading from that and how, you know, the seasons actually went, because Path of Fire was kind of like a little bit different. Like it was its own independent. We kind of led to Path of Fire, but it was kind of like different. We were against a god. It wasn't a dragon. It wasn't, you know, it felt a little bit more like its own story, like it was a very singular thing. End of Dragons changed that again. And it'll be interesting to see what they do with the next expansion. If the next season we think about Camphor, but normally you equate an expansion for Guild Wars 2 as a new region completely. Like, I'm just like, what? There's so much potential. Like, where would Camphor lead to? Like, what would it
We might have to look at this next story content a bit differently, Is that something? It feels like they might be shifting from their usual formula.
Ooh,
As
okay.
they really
I'm
haven't
excited
called
for
it
this.
a season, which to me, in my head, pings the notion of they are going to be doing something different or approaching how they tell their stories differently. Because they said at least one map and new story. They haven't said we're starting season 6, episode 1. And I believe it was also Bobby Stein who said, or someone on the narrative team had mentioned that the first map, or the map that we are getting, is in some ways going to be a reference or a hint at what the expansion will bring. So with that concept,
Missed that.
yeah.
Where did they say this?
I watched Lara's video because she recently did a video about the potential for the next. And I believe it was a quote somewhere that was written on either a blog or a forum or a news outlet.
Yeah, okay.
So
Again, nothing
yeah,
official.
it was some interview. It was some interview from a narrative developer.
Oh, okay.
So they might be going down the route of not adding new maps each episode, instead kind of playing off what they did with the Icebrood Saga, where we're still centralized in Cantha, maybe one map. I would even like to see more story pop up in the other zones as well of Seitung Province, Kaining City.
Might get some more use out of Arborstone.
Arborstone as well, yeah.
I'd like to explore the Jade Sea more than one map, to be honest.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that would have been, yeah.
Expansive
Yeah.
jade waves.
Which could lead. I mean, here's the thing. One, I mean, we're all just pulling things out of our backsides at this
Yeah,
point
that's the
until
fun
we get
thing about
any
it, yeah.
kind of hint. It's fun, but yeah.
That's not what it sounds like.
I mean,
I've never
what
pulled
I
anything out of my
want-
ass before, so I
Liar.
can only imagine.
What I think what I want is the sorry, I had to be sad.
It's okay.
What I want is the Lovecraftian stuff. I'm a big fan, not of the man because he was a complete penis, but of the work that he
Everyone
created.
was a penis back then.
And how it was done with his work.
No, he was a particular.
He was mega dong.
He was
Yes.
the Omega dog.
Yeah.
There's a lot of creators.
Son
He was the Alpha
stuff.
and the Omega. Sorry.
But I want that Lovecraftian vibe. That was the thing that I was like most excited about for the Icebrood Saga.
Yeah.
And they just didn't deliver it necessarily, I don't think.
Wait. You were excited for what? Sorry, I lost the plot. I was thinking about the Omega dog. The Omega dog comment.
The things that you pulled out of your bottom. Yeah, I know. It's like
Yes.
You pulled an omega dong out of your bottom? Wow.
I was actually thinking about the 2 colonoscopies I've had, which have been very fun experiences.
Oh,
but
that's triple mega dong.
that's the worst.
that is a very specific kink, but I will not.
That's definitely not something I enjoyed. If someone enjoys that whole process, I don't. I mean, I'm not gonna. You know,
I did
there's a
it
lot
awake.
of prep for that. That's the worst thing about it.
There's always
Anyway.
prep job, bro.
Thank you, Groove. Oh, I
I'm
love
never
this
getting asked on
podcast so
again.
much. Come on, carry on.
But no,
not that we're not
so-
used to this by now.
The Lovecraftian, which is probably right up your alley with all the tentacle monsters and the that kind of thing. That's what I was looking forward to. That's what I was looking. Not the hentai weird stuff.
But I agree. I am looking forward to, and I hope they do, because I actually find that Guild Wars 2 tends to shine the most when it entertains Lovecraftian and horror elements.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
remember
very
the whole
good.
bug in the system?
Yeah, that was cool.
That trailer and then that storyline where things are just very off.
That's not
Yeah.
the right one.
Absolutely.
was-
That's not the
yeah.
right one. What were you trying to do? You were saying thank you.
Thumbs up. Thumbs up.
Okay. That was okay.
But yeah, I absolutely agree on what happened with the Icebrood or with the Bone Skinner. Completely
Yeah.
underutilized. They did not push it half as creepy for half as long as they could have. They had some story beats that were so good. With the bit where you go and you fight the Freyr and he rises back up and it like this broken puppet and slowly works better and better through the
Oh, God,
monologue.
yeah.
That was so
Yeah.
good, and I want that
Undead
times
stuff.
30.
I like
more
ore.
of that whole expansion of that.
Absolutely. Like the whole ore. I want like undead stuff. I want dead things. I want like darkness.
We'll probably get
evil. Yeah, I want it. Give me
the Unchained. There are plenty of Risen still around. Maybe even new Risen. Or they're like manipulating and doing rituals on the Risen and like making weird, extra horrific monstrosities.
So that'd be cool.
Give me like the watchwork. What are the big twisty the watchwork knights that walk all twisted and wrong?
Oh yeah, those ones.
Give me those, but constructed out of undead remains.
Wow, what else goes been out there? There's a game that's coming out in a couple of weeks called Scorn. It's really messed up. You'd probably love it.
I don't know. It depends on.
It's like weapons made of like people and stuff. It's very interesting.
Okay. I'll look.
It's a very interesting game. Like it's the horror. You know, it's October. There's loads of stuff coming out.
I've seen trailers for that. It's deeply body horror. Like
it's deeply
very
might go too far.
Yeah,
it's like Tool.
Maybe Sunken
City.
Yeah, maybe the Sunken City.
Ooh,
would be
yeah.
more. Yeah.
Oh, I know. Scorn. Ooh, yeah.
That's dark.
But you know,
Dark.
It doesn't need to go like that far. But Guild Wars has some.
No, let's just go. Let's just go there. Let's just do it. Screw it.
I'll stop.
Yeah. I mean, you know, ponies and all that kind of stuff.
And even in Mordremoth, there were elements of biological horror and mutation and that whole.
Yeah.
I really appreciated Heart of Thorns because it felt more serious
cool.
and it had a very consistent tone, which Fornax was mentioning. Our Spirit Saga, like it kind of dropped it a little bit. So
Big character
hopefully
dying, you know. Like
Oh, that's another thing. We actually haven't really had like a main character death or someone a part of the main cast
someone needs to die.
pass in a long time.
Yeah. Who's next?
I don't think it's always. I don't always think it's needed.
Oh
but
no! This is it.
I kind of appreciate it when it's been so long.
Well, who, Kroof? Who deserves to die? I'm not saying no who deserves to die, but who could die? Who could die in the future? This is a great
Okay, I'm not
thing.
going to say who should, but probably one of the more. If I'm thinking of a character that would have an impactful death,
Okay.
probably Kaith. For some reason, with her being such a motherly figure, especially to Aurene in a slight way, I think there's definitely more story with Kaith, and I wouldn't want her to die, but I would be the most impacted if Kaith met a sad fate. But
Reader is
What
going
about-
Marjorie. I'm like,
What about
damn.
a red wedding? What about a red wedding?
oh my god,
I've actually been thinking about that.
Oh my god.
That'd be so mean.
Thank
They-
God
they said-
Rook isn't here.
torn.
Rook
No.
would destroy you all.
No.
Look at
They said
Harold's face.
They said, I never said LGBT. I said SIN.
Oh
There is actually like a really nasty trope in media whereby they like to kill off their lesbian
That's
characters
true.
just when they've got
That's why I
happiness. Please
don't
don't
think
do
they'll
that.
do
That was
it.
joking.
I don't think they'd do it, but I think it would be like, yeah, it would be. The thing is, that would probably be a ridiculously impactful death. It would be not good to do, but like it would be a big death. The other big death probably would be my character, and then they come back as an undead, a new playable race in the expansion.
Tybalt's already dead, Jebro.
My main character's in the server.
Oh.
I don't play too. I'm not role playing that
would be
hard.
the perfect way for you to get your own NPCs, you know, as you like skulls so much. Like a
True.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. I would like to do that, but like, I mean, who else could die? Like, Kaith is a good idea. I feel like in terms of, it's a good idea. They get killed off, but like they should. But like the old team, do you know what I mean? Like them kind of getting rid of them, like by the wayside.
I think,
See,
Oh, go on.
Just at this point, I think that they've already been sidelined and retired hard enough that
Yeah.
if
Alicia
you
Day's
killed
never
any
coming
of
back.
them, it's gonna feel more like a fridging in the story.
Yeah, true.
That's why Kaith would be a good option because she. This really sounds like we're trying to like make an argument to kill Kaith, but I don't need Kaith to die, nor do I really want her to die.
Yeah.
But it's like a character. I'm just thinking of characters that have enough screen time and have enough importance in modern stories and still aren't necessarily like, well, the whole entire trajectory of the story has to change if this one character dies. So Kaith, you know, some of those older characters like Kaith, even Ritlock to a degree, you know.
If we're getting a vote, then I want Timey to die.
That's a character I think could change the trajectory of any stories that they tell in the future. Which is why I'm a little more.
Die, though. I think Timey's like that's too easy. I think that's too. Why do you want Timey to die?
If you wanted to kill someone for the ease of it, kill Rox. Who even is Rox?
Whoa. Why do you want to? Right. Let's start with Herald first, then we'll go on to the Rox thing. Why do you want Timey to die?
Okay, so to be clear, they have, from the very inception of her character, they have made it a part of her, an integral part of her story, that she has a debilitating degenerative disease.
True.
And she has been incredible in how she has tackled it, how she's had the mental faculty to do that, how she's used her innovation and the technologies around her to overcome so that she can be a contributing member of her society and a contributing member of our group. And she's had a lot of story agency because of that, and she's driven the story and the solutions to a lot of the sort of the commander's problems going forward, and she's had this huge impact. But her illness has always been almost like a side thought in a lot of the new content, and especially in End of Dragons. I think you were on Scotch when we were talking about how I wasn't happy with how they'd done the narrative flaw of her progression from because if you remember when we start the episode, she is saying that she is increasingly unwell. And this is becoming a debilitating problem for her. And then she buggers off to go and see June. She gets some augmentation, and then she says she's feeling better. And there's no connective tissue. She doesn't have the narrative. She hasn't been given the narrative time to show people, to show an actual story of a disabled person and the development that they have when they interact with the new technology. And I would like, not as an arbitrary thing, not as a throwaway, sensationalized, look at the shiny thing, shoot the person in the head kind of, spectacle. No John Wick moment here. I think it would be integral and almost like a teachable moment if we see this wonderful, beautiful, lovely character deteriorating and dying, and the impact that has on the people, because that is the reality of a degenerative, debilitating illness.
Well, also, and what you said earlier, you were talking about, how the tech was being powered, and she got this lease on life because of the tech, right? So because that's gone now, maybe that could be something that fits in there, kind of.
And that would be a very effective story to tell, especially if it was over the course of the season, because it wouldn't just be one moment, like spoilers, when Air dies. It would be something that you have to sit with and you can't really do anything about it, or you try to, but ultimately that clock will continue to tick away. And I think that would be a very new and interesting take on the death of a character. So if not this season, I think it should and could be done well for the sake of Timey's character.
I just hope that they give it. So, I mean, one of the main criticisms that I've had as much as I love the story, and I do love the story as much as the criticism I have is that they don't give the narrative enough room to breathe. You don't get to sit with things. You don't get to reflect. You don't have those moments of pathos. That they're always on to the next thing. For the biggest, I think the worst offender of this is the death of Aureen. We have this massive build up. We have these visions that they're kind of edging us on the fact that she is going to die. We know she's going to die, and there's loads of speculation in the community. And then she does, and we are gutted, and the community is gutted, and it's a real fantastic moment in the story. And I can remember how absolutely heartbroken I was, and they didn't let us sit with it. Because the very next episode, she was, and it wasn't even like at the very end of the episode. At the very next episode, boom, she's back. And I thought that was a huge mistake. I thought that bring her back by all means, but let us sit in our grief. Let us like imagine the kind of horrors and misery of the world without her in it, so that when she does come back, when we do something that's, it could have had more agency, I think, in us reanimating her as well. But when she does come back, we feel it even more. And that's what I want for Taimi. I want Taimi to have an honorable decline. I want her friends to be able to interact with her and love her and take her to places, and then go through it, and then we all lose her together.
That would be,
and then the consequences of that go on.
It would be I think I'm going to echo what the chat said. Many people have said it. It would be very difficult to, I think you're right for a start, say that. I think it would be very interesting, and it would be cool. Like, it would be a cool thing to do. I think it would be very difficult for them to pull it. They'd have to consult a lot. Like someone said, that consulting, that would something they would have to do a lot of. And I think they'd be very conscious about the fact that they're potentially going to kill off someone who is representative of a community within the game. I don't think that should always be. So you have to be very careful about that. Which is a problem.
Yes, but it's not so much
I know what you mean.
Killing them off. It's showcasing a storyline of all of our journeys in life.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That deterioration, even if you do not have an illness or a terminal illness, we all will experience death naturally at some point, some quicker than others. So I think it is a story worth telling. But I think ArenaNet would take the time and the care to,
of course, yeah,
to not
undeniably.
just, and that's not, if Taimi is a character, I think just killing her by like an enemy doing it would feel worse rather than having her experience, like also going on the journey with someone and having that storytelling of someone going through like reconciling with the fact of the time. And we've seen that with End of Dragons in the beginning, with Taimi saying, I don't know how much time I have left, but as we've mentioned, it's kind of like there's a pause button on that. So this discussion, I'm more so interested in experiencing more of that journey with Taimi.
I definitely understand what you're saying, Harold. Like when you said it, I was like, wow, that could be really.
I mean, so I lost my dad and he was in a hospice, and I stayed with him all the time that he was in the hospice, and it was it was strange. It's like absolute boredom and absolute terror and misery all kind of rolled into one. But it was also strangely life affirming, because I could be with him, because the part of the journey is the end. And so we got to talk, we got to spend time together, we got to sit with it and sit with the mortality that we all have. And at the end of it, I was profoundly sad for a very long time, but I would not give up that time that I had with him for anything, even though I feel like I left a piece of myself in that room. I think a different person walked out after that, but I wouldn't give that up for the world. Those times, those moments, that what I spent with him, that's more precious than anything. And I think that those type of stories, they're so human, they're so relatable, that it's a universal thing, right? And it doesn't have to be misery and pain. That it can be a celebration as well. It can be a celebration of the life, and like a bucket list of things that we can do for her, so that she feels fulfilled as much as she can. Because because all life ends. It's just a kind of a dilating of the process, a constriction of the process. And I think it's something that games shy away from, and people shy away from because they're scared.
Because death is a difficult thing to talk about for everyone, honestly. It really is. it's a difficult
It can
subject.
be easier to just kill off a character in a battle, but it shows so much more courage and also real world relatability and skillful writing. And I think skillful writing to showcase more of a natural progression rather than just this character expired in this battle. And it's much more of a quick burst of a narrative. And I think we don't see that oftentimes in games. And Guild Wars 2 and ArenaNet always like to push the mold and showcase different stories of real world and representation. And Taimi being a character of that, I don't think that she needs to go on that journey right now, but I think it's a potential journey that could be interesting to see from a player perspective.
I mean, I don't think that I don't think that it should be like the sole focus of an expansion. I think it should be like parallel narrative threads. So you could have her beautiful short life as one sort of rail, and then a kind of rebirth on the other side, an introduction and moving on, as you have in life when these things happen.
Yeah.
But I understand. I mean, a lot of people, this is very real, and it is entirely understandable that people recoil from that. But I mean, as we were talking about, who do you want to your murder?
Yeah.
You murdered the character.
Who do you want to die? Death is a very relatable experience.
Yeah.
It's the
in many
ultimate
ways.
relatable experience. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna happen. And yeah, thank you for sharing that as well, Phoenix. That really is appreciated. It gives these conversations a lot more depth and meaning, I think, sometimes, a lot of the time, because we can appreciate how we know what it's like to lose someone. I mean, everyone probably knows that here in the chat, whether or not you're listening live and everything else, and you know how impactful and how that's done in stories. Like if you think about different games you've played and the deaths and how they impact you as well, like that can be a really good way of, like, you know, remembering a character as well, like, you know, how their demise like occurred, you know, and in different ways, whether or not they're a villain, they're a hero, your own character, whatever. And yeah, that's something we've not seen for a while, or done to that level, I think. And I can't really remember many MMOs where that's happened. I know there's kind of those, I'm not gonna say anything. There's other games like where I'm like, okay, and I'm not sure if they come back to life yet or not, and I don't want spoilers. Like, I'm just like, you know, it is, yeah, that could be a thing. And also, you're talking about, you know, even Aurene and like Aurene dying and what that means for Tyria, what that means for the world we're on. And then it makes me think Guild Wars 3. Or it makes me think expansion, and then it makes me think, wow, should we go to like space or something? Will Boots' like dreams be imagined at some point in time?
To
Is there a
touch on the
space
topic
station?
of
Sorry.
Aurene, just very slightly,
Yeah.
I doubt they would ever kill her.
God damn it, Griff.
It would. It'd
Oh,
be
no,
like,
aerospace.
what is the point? I think what they will probably do and what they should do is have her go into sleep, have her go into hibernation and follow that journey
Like a
of
bear.
elder dragons. After they consume their magic, in the case of Aurene, she kind of consumes and refracts it. They go into a slumber. So Aurene is a really dangerous character to have in the story for the sake of telling a narrative. So it's either kill her or have her go into her slumber. And if you kill her, it's just like, what's the point of going through these 3 expansions? What's the point of this 10-year
True.
story arc?
True.
And in canon, I guess what Aurene would be doing, predicting in the future, I'm a psychic, she'll just have more children. And then those children will carry on the legacy of maintaining that magical balance. So I don't know if they're going, I highly doubt that we would be having a storyline about the dragon magic so soon after them concluding the storyline of the dragon magic.
We don't. I just want to get away from
Like,
the dragon stuff.
An interesting thing they
Done with
could
it.
do with Aurene to allow her to remain as like living 3-dimensional character is have her go off on a journey.
Yeah.
Have her go to learn more about, because she can't be entirely unique. There's the implied many worlds out there, many the small pockets of reality drifting through the mists, each with their own gods and their own maintainers and their own gardeners and their own, and maybe she can go through the mists to learn more of what she is and her place in things, and she can go and have her journey, and every now and then we'll get just a little whisper, hey, you're still alive, that's nice.
Just completely bug yourself.
In the notes that I gave you, there's a whole section on Aureen of what's going to happen with her. Is she going to go around and cleanse all of the lands of Tyria of the corruption, or at least nullify it in some capacity, like she did in Grothmar? Or is she going to? Are we going to be her dragon champion forever? Why don't we just uncouple ourselves, and then Cunavang could step into the role, or perhaps the Pale Tree could step into the role. There are other immortal beings on the planet that she could form this attachment with, so that she doesn't face eternity in solitude,
completely alone. Yeah,
exactly.
And I mean, the Pale Tree, you mentioned that she still needs stabilizing. She's still practically comatose.
Yeah, I mean, and could the Pale Tree and Cunavang, could they go around, and could we? I mean, I would say I like making things. Lots of games are like destroying things, like blowing up Lion's Arch. I would love to go with Aureen on a grand tour and restore the land, restore and rebuild Ura, restore and rebuild all the Charlands that have been decimated. Have like nature quests where you go off and you act as an avatar of the Pale Tree and you restore the natural order and growing trees, and just like going through and killing off the remaining bad guys. I want to be a restoring factor rather than like a destroyer of worlds.
That is our Guild Wars 2 Cataclysm expansion. Thank you so much for going back to Corteria, revamping the zones.
It's not Cataclysm, it's like
Guild Wars 2.
Opposite. What would it be?
Walking children in nature. Tammy Brown.
It's kind of the theme of the Lord of the Rings.
I am. It's kind of thinking of Lord of the Rings. Yeah,
because the Lord of the Rings is like a rebuke of like capitalism and robbing the earth, which was what Sauron wanted to do and what Saruman was doing in the White Tower. And the Fellowship was all about love and respect and restoration of nature and honoring the land. And yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me have a look where we are and see if I can add on something here. Yeah, I think I was just thinking about like a different story. We're going to have a more specific podcast as this kind of, we get closer and get a little bit more information. But like, so they've got a lot of options, a lot of options of stuff to do. I guess likelihoods is we're still in Camphor because they have to do more stuff here, right? They did the same with Hearth of Fire. They didn't do that with Hearthstone though, actually, honestly. They didn't really make more. I'm trying to think about post-Hearthstones. Hearthstones kind of just died. Like, it just ended, and then
Yeah. Heart of Thorns in Season 3 were...
very different.
There was a missed opportunity to have a season that revolved around the jungle and dealing with those issues. But ever since, I think they've taken notice of that and have been giving more attention to the zones of the expansion.
Yeah, it would have been like incredibly difficult with how they constructed Heart of Thorns to have any sort of restorative zones. It feels like they planned in, like you said, they've been paying more attention. They planned in areas that could be restored.
Yeah.
That we could go back and revisit after the dragon's influence.
Pretty cool.
I mean, it is something that we've actually talked about, isn't it? Where where many MMOs have maps or areas that have two instances of themselves, two iterations, one before the story, one after the story, and especially with the joining tech that we have, that you can join people on their maps already. I think it would be entirely possible to have different iterations, although people who complain that it adds a complexity to the game, I agree. It can, but you have to decide what you want to prioritize. Do you want to prioritize the story and the evolution of the world, or do you want to prioritize kind of player utility? So I guess it's a question and a balance that you have to decide.
Okay. So what is I guess what I was thinking about was, okay, I was gonna bring back the, I guess, mechanics or features maybe that we were gonna bring. I was gonna bring back the reward track thing. Okay, I'm gonna bring that back because I think there's some stuff. There is story that we can bring back into the game. Obviously, like they're going to be going story forward wise. And we're going to have this conversation. We always do have this conversation, but I did want to have this conversation, I guess maybe briefly, but also not. Still got time. About what they could do to change the game to keep people in the game past the point where they've got to level 8 and they've played some of the fractals, the strikes, and whatnot as well. In Destiny 2, which I picked up again recently, I still haven't got to the end game of that, and there's a reason why probably. The new player experience in Destiny 2 is probably one of the worst I've ever played, honestly. It's just very bad. It's just like they got rid of the story. They just deleted it, and they give you this new path into the game, which I still don't know what's happening. I just know that I enjoy playing the game. It's very, very weird. And they do this thing where they have seasons, and you basically, I don't know if the season is linked to content specifically. It's a tiny bit confusing, but like you play through the game, you level up and you get experience, and it's very, very slow. It doesn't feel grindy, but it's quite a kind of slow process. I'm at like level 5 or something, but you get different materials, you can get weapon skins and everything else like that. Standard thing you kind of get with battle royales as well, where if you pay for the track or whatever it's called, the battle pass, you can get skins and loads more stuff. If it's free and you don't pay, you can get some other bits and bobs. That was one thing where I was like, damn, if there was a reward track that took a long time to get, but you could work through it, and it was something that would happen during a season, like you know, which is what they call them. Yeah, I was just thinking about that as one of the mechanics which can come back, because you know we talked about it before here. I was just wondering if there's anything else, or if you think that a season track would be bad, because we've already got reward tracks in the game anyway. Or if there's anything else that we feel like could be good things for them to think about now, or additions, or even smaller things, or mechanics, or UI, or anything else that could be introduced to the game, which could give them a little bit more of a, you know, helping hand as we move and think about the game maintaining its status past 10 years, I guess, and in this modern world of gaming that we're in right now.
I think season reward tracks and battle pass systems are probably the way forward when you look at it and you compare it to loot boxes. If I had to pick Black Lion chests or battle passes, I would probably lean more towards battle passes, as they're much more transparent with the rewards that you are going to be getting, and they're often associated with some element of free rewards alongside it. And Overwatch 2 is getting rid of their loot boxes and introducing a battle pass system. And I've seen it and it looks fine. My one critique is that there doesn't feel like there's enough free rewards as you're playing the track. But other games have been able to strike that balance a little bit better. A game that I feel does it pretty well is probably Dead by Daylight, where you're able to gain rewards by just going through and playing passively. And of course, Guild Wars 2 has their in-game shop. So you have that added flexibility of, if I want to get a particular item now, or if it's just exclusively on the shop, you'll still have the gem systems. But with the RNG element of loot boxes, if I had to pick one of the lesser two evils, because at the end of the day, it's all about economics and getting their coin, as a studio has to do to keep their game developed, I would probably lean more towards battle pass systems.
And D here is saying that like they're not a fan of seasons because they feel like subs and they feel like they're just pressuring you to play. And Guild Wars has always been so really respective of your time and lets you just kind of come and go as you want. As you were talking about that in general, it'd be cool if they brought in battle passes, but as in like the reward tracks in PvP and World versus World, where you pick which one you're working on, and each month they add a new one to the listing, and they can like cycle through them, or they can just perpetually add new themes to the seasons, and you just like pick which track you're working on at whatever time.
Yeah, because Dead by Daylight has a similar system. I think it's maybe their dailies or their like tomes, which are kind of like battle passes, where they're saved on your account and you can go back and do them and complete certain tomes, even if it is not the current most up-to-date one. So we see some games make it to where it is more of that, you know, FOMO, if you're missing out, get it while you can. Other games are a bit more forgiving, and it's like, if you have it, you have it, and you can go back and get those rewards and play at your own pace if you want to. So I would imagine ArenaNet would be, I would hope that they would introduce some system where it's not, you have to get it this month and have to play this month, or else you miss out on it forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, sign me up. I fucking hate Black Lion chess. I fucking hate them.
Unless you get the reward, then for about 2 seconds.
Then it feels fine.
That feels okay
No.
for like
For a brief moment.
I do. I'm that person. I'm like, if I don't buy them, but like
For
people
just
buy
the
them for me on
briefest of
stream,
moments.
and I'm like, I'm still like opening them. It's annoying. It's bad. I hate it. I agree. I don't like them either. But when they get the good thing, I do feel good. But that's what they're meant to do, right?
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah,
they're
but
meant
stop.
to do. It's
They're
awful.
fucking putting the besties, shiniest, lovely, woo woo, right behind this fucking. I hate loot boxes.
Yeah.
I fucking hate loot boxes.
When they're
It's fucking
RNG,
gambling. I hate it.
that feels like the koi fish. I never got them because it was just RNG based. I couldn't even buy it on the gem store if I wanted to. And guess what? I wanted to. And I don't have them.
That's why ESO store does that. But like you can spend currency. It's a bit like the statuettes, but you can do it immediately. So they've just come out with new crown chests on the store. And if you trade in stuff that you don't want that you can get like gems, which is what they call them. And you can trade those gems over time for stuff that's in the chests that you can buy. But they are quite expensive, so they have to get a lot. That's the only problem. So like you're gonna be on the next round of chests that come out by the time you're able to afford it.
Yeah, but it's not RNG. You're not relying on gambling. And it's
that's it.
the bottom line is it's encouraging kids to gamble in a game that isn't age gated to 18. If it was an 18 game, have at horse, you want to manipulate adults, that's your call. I think it's a fucking dick move because some people have all sorts of problems around gambling as well, you know, as a mental health professional, right?
Yep.
But it's a fucking dick move. But I would rather have something that was steady progress that you can work towards over a period of time,
That's what
that is cyclic in nature so people don't feel that pressure.
you know what you're getting.
Exactly. I fucking hate gambling. It's such
That's
an
why I mean I think that's the one thing that Fortnite did very good. Like you know, they had when they introduced battle passes, you knew what you were getting. And if you didn't get it, like over the course of the season, like you know, that was it. You knew what you were getting when you were paying for it in the first place, you know. And more often than not you get it anyway. But like it is there's and the Guild Wars 2 could get, you know, I am still surprised that is a thing in the game because of the way they are. It is surprising that still exists. I get why it exists, unfortunately, because, you know, need that money. And that's probably one of their biggest income sources. So it's like, if they get rid of that, they need a system that's going to replace it in a way which is going to be... You know, I was waiting for you to do your money hand thing. What happened? Thank you. Very good. You're normally so good, and you're normally so like, I'm not
annoyed.
bothered
I
with
don't
that.
like loot boxes.
Yeah, I know. I can
get
tell.
right on my
Your character
head.
keeps
They
smiling,
really
and I
do.
think it's like between.
It's not. I'm not smiling. I'm.
I know you're
grimacing.
not. I know you're not. I know you're not. But yeah, no, I think we all agree. Yeah. Well, hopefully something like that will change in the future. But I think until they find another good way to monetarily support their game, that it's unfortunately going to be something which is going to be staying, unless they get something like Battle Passes game, which I think would be cool. They've got like the little season boxes where you can get, but they're RNG, so they're just like miniature flipping black lion chests anyway. So like I was about to praise it, but then I was like, it's still random. It's still random like what you get.
Delivery boxes.
Yeah,
those
that's
the supply drops.
Those are good.
Yeah.
And if they did those more.
They don't advertise it though.
I just don't like the way, because it's like a battle pass, but it's not. It's not tied to your own progression of feeling like you're being rewarded for playing the game. It's just wait to log in next week and then get them. So it feels no different than just like a really bumped up daily reward or weekly reward in that case. So, and it's also, there's no free component to it, which I think a lot of people appreciate that with battle passes, because it's something that you can keep track of, and it's something that you can make a more clear decision on. And taking Overwatch 2 and as an example, their battle pass shows you all of the things that you're going to get if you purchase it. And seeing those skins, I'm like, you know what? I could see myself, because I have that information. I think it's like $10 or something.
The standard price, yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Because I got all my information and because I saw everything, I could come to that conclusion of, do I want to purchase this or not?
Also, you can see how far you get, and then you can purchase it, and you get all the rewards anyway. So you can get to the end of the season, see where you got to, and if you didn't get that far, you just don't buy it, and you got the free stuff.
Like if you add to this, if ArenaNet did it with like their daily login system, if they iterated on that, like they're mentioning in chat, it's if it just, when you log off and you can't log in for a week, it just pauses your progression, and you just pick it up and finish it as you can without the like cutoff once you've unlocked the progression.
I mean, I think that they would make a lot more money on the gem store if they actually had a gem store that was fit for purpose. It is not fit for purpose. The previews are abysmal. The previews are abysmal, and they're tiny. Players want to be able to look at them on their characters properly. You can't zoom in. You
can't sit in the chairs.
You can't sit in the chairs. You can't.
That's true, actually. That's a big thing.
If a staff is going past the window, you can't drag it down to see the rest of it.
Yeah, don't be a Norn when you're trying to do that.
And the funny thing is like certain windows like the LFG and the friends list, you can expand that, but you can't expand any of the other windows in game.
It's a web browser, isn't it? Or like it's based off of like, I don't know what it's called.
I mean, if you change the interface size to the largest, you get a quite large interface to look at.
Okay.
But you still cannot zoom in and look at the small details on your character. And some of the things that they're selling, you need to see them, especially if you're a char character, because of all the clipping issues that there are. So if you want people to be able to actually like buy the stuff, you have to let them try it on. So have an NPC interface, like they've got the hairdresser and clipping thing that you can go, you can talk, you can see. Just have something like that. They changed how they did the skins that they were selling, so now they appear in LA in a big display, so you can actually go and look at them, because they wanted people to be able to interact with them more. They need to do that kind of thing, and they need to like have more instances, more advertisements on their Twitter and things showing these different models on different things, and they really need to like. It's the same. They're not shaking their moneymaker. They're not shaking their moneymaker for the gem store. And I think it's doubly frustrating for me, because we love the game. We see how good the game is. We see how much content there is in the game, and they're just not selling it and showing
this is a general problem they've had for a long
I'd love
time.
to see if they put a little dry dock in the Black Lion, the where they have the weapons stands previewed. They put a little dry dock there to preview the skiff skins, or a little they could have open up the back rooms and have a menagerie back there to show off any new mount skins.
Well, I mean now, and as we know, thanks to the skill, craft, and commentation of Fornax, aka the Crichton Herald, there are elf ears in the game. And they come. I'm gonna find that video.
They look pretty good.
Show this off in game though, instead of relying on content creators to do all the trumpeting for them.
Here's the thing. So you don't have a huge budget, but you do have a shit ton of content creators chomping at the bit to show off the game that they love and that they're growing their own careers with. So it's a mutually beneficial arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
So task the better ones, the ones that you like the content that they're making. Task them.
Task the better ones. I like crying. There was the one who said that. Who are the better ones then, Crying Herald?
I have no opinion on that. That's not my.
I see.
Task.
New YouTube video, tier list of Guild Wars 2 content creators are
Oh, shit. Damn, that would be some dramatic stuff right there. Can you imagine?
You want to start drama? Do that.
God.
But don't do it. 'Cause that's not fun.
Well,
I'll do it on my own.
For example, they got Rookery to do the narration for the kind of story summation.
Yeah.
But imagine Kroof making new player guides for the basic builds for the raid. You know this.
And then,
you know your
showcasing
shit.
it.
Exactly.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
And showcasing it cinematically pleasing. Because sometimes it's like you got to have an eye for the actual presentation element of it as well. There's so many elements that actually go into content creation and how to show off a game, especially with Guild Wars 2. You have so much flexibility over the camera, the angles, shaders, and etc. Every little detail matters when you are showing off a game.
It's a good thing we're showing this video then, isn't it, right now? It's a good way. Crying Herald definitely does that very well. Kroof does it very well as well. When I get time to edit, I do it well, I like to think, as well, with my editing skills. But it is true.
You see what I mean? Just cut your cloth. If you don't have a huge amount of marketing budget, then use what you have and make it a beneficial relationship between the two. So if you're a streamer, then say, if you make all these videos, then the next time we have a live stream, we're going to have you on it, you front and center, you doing this thing in the game, or you doing that thing in the game, and we'll promote you, and so that we help you, and chuck some goodies in for the streamers or the content creators community, and there you go. I mean, does that sound ridiculous? I mean, I think this is what other communities do.
It could integrate the partner program and content creators more fluidly into the cycle of sharing news. I mean, we do it already. Whenever there's a sentence of a blog post and Muckluck makes a 20-minute long video about it, so people are very eager to make content and to share and to start discussion and show these aspects of the game off. So I don't think that's a far off recommendation for Next. It's really
ESO
good.
does a really good job of putting their content careers in. They have interviews with them. They have different regions as well. Actually, UK gets people there's Dawn Whisper and K-Power and some other people who our community probably remember who they get. They have the English version of the ESO cast that they're doing, where they show the maps off. They literally had a cast yesterday where they did a map preview or something, and sometimes they do things when they go through dungeons, and then they will go through the dungeon with content creators, and they go through it on that test server, the PTR, because they got PTR, which is always up. And they go through it with them, and they talk about the dungeon, and they go through all the details of it, and they talk to them with the content creators, and they've got that excitement and hype there as well. So it's there's definitely some stuff where they can get involved with people. I've done a couple of bits and pieces with PvP that I was here, so I was if you want to grab me in for this thing, then sure, I'll be welcome to doing it. And so I've been lucky enough to do one or two bits and pieces.
I just watched I was watching the Scrapper reveal for Heart of Thorns on my side monitor.
Oh my god.
And I saw you on there. I was like, oh yeah, hi Jebro.
Yeah, I was there. I forgot about that. I was here. What was I here for? I think I was visiting my ex. I just combined it. Yeah, that's why I was here. I forgot about that. Like how everyone's like sipping and just looking at me.
I was like, oh, quickly take a sip of water.
It's fine. That's fine. Yeah, but like that kind of stuff is good because you get people's excitement about it and hype about it, and you know there are other instances where people have been involved as well, which is cool. And we'll get some of that probably during Extra Life, honestly. We'd probably get that involvement again, which is cool. Is there a partner server? There is a client which partners get access to sometimes before big releases.
Only when they want us to.
Yeah.
It's not something that's consistent.
Not permanent. I mean, it's permanent, but like we only get access for a certain.
So there are moments where ArenaNet will utilize more blatantly the aspect of community content creation. We saw it a little bit before End of Dragons when people got to test out Echovoud Wilds and areas of New Kaineng, and those bigger moments of expansions are also a great time to do that. And it was awesome to see for End of Dragons.
Hmm.
No, we're not. It's not an NDA thing.
No, we have to tell people that we have to say this is in partnership.
So that's okay. But yeah, that's a hashtag ArenaNet partner.
I think that they actually, I was really impressed with how they implemented their open beta for the testing of the new builds and things. I thought that was very, very good. They just released it on everyone's client.
Oh, yeah. There was some stuff where I was a bit disappointed.
Well, I mean, so
But
if you think about how much... Sorry, apologies.
You go. You
I apologize. Sorry.
No, I'll go.
No. Everyone apologise. I'm sorry. Old Scotch is also sorry, clearly.
Sorry, I apologise.
Yes, terribly sorry.
Good.
Yeah,
Carry
I'm very
on.
British.
So am I, so
think
fucked.
we'll just apologise to each other until the end of the stream.
You serve. I'm sorry. Return. Sorry.
I think that I like World of Warcraft. God help me, I do. And
Sorry, it's
I
good.
think that and I think that their betas that they do. They have been guilty of sharing far too fucking much, but their betas, their open betas that they have in like months before the game releases, do a huge amount for the community. It like invigorates all the content creators. People are jumping into the game to see what's happening. You may love it, you may hate it. You can cut off the story at the balls so no one gets spoiled. But I think that kind of idea. Sorry, it's getting late. It's like 11 o'clock here now, guys.
So that means they just start talking about cutting people's balls off. And if you don't know what
the filter is going,
Herod is saying beta, but in an English way, because we say beta, like Betamax. I like
the test realms, the open world test realms,
betas.
PTR,
That's what we say.
PTR.
I used to say beta until Counter America, or inside the game.
Traitor. They're not
There are many words
that
I say. Like
Jebro's
I
now
say,
saying Z.
Yeah, I am. I'm saying military as well.
Shots fired.
Mm.
Oh.
I'm not saying yogurt yet, though.
Shit,
okay.
no. You'll never get back in if you start saying that.
Oh no. Is that a bad thing?
Right now, not so much.
I'm not sure how the pound's doing right now. I'm sorry about that. and generally everything.
I'm currently streaming.
Butterscotch now are just like.
Sorry. Shit is going down in the UK,
England's
man.
basically fucked. Like the pound is worth the same amount as the dollar. The Conservatives are going literally they're not even scared anymore about like giving money to the rich. They're just announcing it. They're just like, we don't care about poor people anymore. Fuck it.
It's
All the working
military,
class.
not military.
Military. I know.
Military.
Yeah.
No,
Spelled
they're
the same
asking.
as well,
And
isn't it?
yogurt. It's clipped. English is all like
Yogurt.
yogurt. I mean,
Yogurt.
that's not yogurt.
Marzipan.
I'm from the north, so I
Wait,
don't
how
know.
do you say marzipan?
Marzipan.
Marzipan.
You say marzipan.
No, it's just a reference. No,
Wait,
it's
how do you say
marzipan.
it? You say marzipan as well. Okay.
Yeah.
What?
Marzipan?
It was a reference to a reference that I know of.
Oh,
it is
okay.
no way.
I'm sorry.
I was like, it's not the word that's setting you off like that.
Okay, I don't know what's happening anymore.
Anyway, so betas.
It just spawned off of that. Boots
What the hell
isn't
are we
even
talking
here.
about?
Where are you, Boots? Like, what's
Cups
going on?
in general, right?
Yeah.
Cups in general. So I think that they get so much publicity off that kind of early access content, cooking or
Oh, yeah,
not.
absolutely.
And I feel like they did such a good job with like opening it up so easily to the rest of the community.
Yeah.
I really would like to see them doing that kind of thing, to do some playtesting as well. Playtesting, cooked or uncooked, your
They-
choice.
Please.
They do some play testing during the expansions, which I do appreciate. But for End of Dragons, I do think it was a little unfortunate that we were not able to test out Seitung Province, any
Yeah.
of the expansion zones, at least a small little snippet of it, as we were able to do for Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire. So that was
just opened up,
one
like,
element.
The training grounds. And just invisible
Yeah,
walled everything
just
else.
that
And
area.
just let us have the training grounds.
Training grounds and a little bit of
Yeah.
the Aether Blade, because we also, that was maybe another thing, we didn't even know the enemy leading up to the expansion. So yeah, I think they've improved quite a bit, but they also like dropped the ball with presenting other things that they actually did present in their other expansion tests. So that was a bit strange. So hopefully whenever expansion 4 comes, they'll have more time and they'll have everything more situated. Of course, the pandemic affected development, but hopefully expansion 4 will have a much stronger showing.
Yeah.
They just need to learn to drip feed their content and keep a momentum going, even if it's small things. As you know, we will overreact. The content creation community will over the fuck react. to
We
everything.
will make clickbait thumbnails, titles. We will go
Give
the
us
whole
a
9 yards.
Single piece of concept art. Tell us it can't even be used. And just challenge us to guess what it would have been if it had been used.
I mean, that's what
There
we
you
did.
go.
We did podcasts on that
We
one
did.
image of, like, you know, remember when the Mesmer one was the most noteworthy, I think.
gosh.
And is it a spear or is it a dagger or what is it? And, like, you know, it was just like for ages. It was, I think it was like, what was it, 3 or 4 hours just on this one thing every single show. It was great. And then we were just like, well, if it's a spear, what is this? And we named them, didn't we? We came up with ability. Oh, Jesus. That's gonna be next year. If it's coming out in 2024, they got to start releasing that stuff. I want to see it. I want to see the new elite specializations. Let's go. Let's go. Give me a spoon. New weapon
Spoon feed me.
with a spoon.
Is there needs to be a rusty spoon dagger skin. Sorry.
Probably. Isn't?
I don't think there is. Out of all
my
the spoon
gosh.
collection and how much of a
rusty spoon.
thing that is.
Rusty spoons.
Dual wielding spoons. I like it. Rusty spoon.
Salad.
You can get a little crossbow with pistols. There's a crossbow pistol skin.
I have that. Those are good.
Yeah.
There's a whip skin as well if you like a bit of BDSM.
Chains
There's a whole
and
set
whips
for that.
excite me.
Whips don't have to just be about BDSM. Like, they don't. They can be.
They can be about
also
cattle.
like, you know, cattle. They can be about.
Catwoman.
No,
Oh.
it's
Wait.
that's deeply morally dubious. BDSM, it's all about
Indiana
like
Jones.
proper consent, right?
Yeah.
You don't whip,
Yeah,
don't
that's
whip
true.
cattle. Don't do that, guys.
Well,
That's not good.
Okay,
But, like,
so,
it can be
just
used.
a thing here. Whips are not actually meant to strike the animal with. It's to make a loud noise to scare them.
Well, yeah.
When
I
they're
mean,
being used
it's a
to
2-for-1
strike
combo.
The animal.
It's like I'll
to
have that
strike the
$5
animal,
combo deal
not-
at McDonald's. So.
There you go.
I want that sound and I want the lash on my back because that gets me excited.
I do not. I'm in a question. People can be dicks with whips. That sounded wrong.
Anyways,
Give me dicks with whips, can I? I think we've devolved now
Why don't
into,
you
or you
Sorry.
know, ascended actually, or ascended. Ascended.
That was in relation to equestrianism. So
I'm not sure how
just
we
to-
got there. Actually, I
Yeah,
think it was
anyway.
Oscotch's fault, to be honest.
It was my fault. That one was my fault. I was talking
No.
about rusty spoons and it ended up on consent with whip usage.
Mom,
What's
come pick
this
me up. The
face?
party's getting weird.
no matter what it's about, the theme, you can always rely on the Lightbringers podcast to get slightly awkward and also not at different times, and also talk about whatever you are doing at home, probably the comfortableness of your own home.
Consent
With consent.
matters, kids.
With
Consent
consent.
matters. It
Yes,
does.
it does.
Where were we though before I derailed things talking about
I think we're
spoon
pretty
weapon
much.
skins?
I think we're pretty
We were
much
talking
done.
about the
Sorry.
But like, what were we
how-
talking
how
about? Was there an end
promotion-
point here?
Yeah.
I think we've hit all the bases.
I don't know what other bases are now. Like,
Third base. Oh. You gotta give me that
you
one.
need,
You
yeah,
gotta
it was
give me
good.
that
It
one.
was good. Okay, all right. What do I give you for that one? Like points? I don't know. No, I'm
Whatever
going to
that-
discontinue.
Whatever that is.
No. You get to come on next week's show.
Yay.
How about that? Actually, I'm not sure there will be one next week. We'll see how we go. It's my first week.
Liar.
I'm just a liar now. I am the worst person. Actually, next week is going to be the first podcast of Rift, the new MMORPG from
Ooh, I'm
Tryon
down for
Worlds,
that one.
who is dead now.
Brand new.
Do you know that they sold Rift for like $30,000?
And then went free to play, and then went on maintenance mode.
It was already free to play before they sold it. Tryon Worlds sold
No.
the MMO. Yeah, it was.
Oh no, I thought you were talking about the history of it being like a sub-based game. And
Oh
then
yeah. No.
yeah.
They sold the Tryon
Yeah.
Worlds. Tryon Worlds got sold, and they sold for like $30,000 or something like that.
Oh,
It's a game ago. That was like $30,000.
that's sad.
I thought
I know,
I was
it's
a
very
basic
sad.
bitch for re-downloading Elder Scrolls Online. So
Why are we talking about basic bitch? Yeah, Elder Scrolls Online's community is bigger than Guild Wars 2. It's not. It's like it's one of the biggest MMOs out there still.
it's true.
It is. It seriously is. It's very good at the moment.
It has its title to fall back on,
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I think
and Bethesda.
I
yeah.
honestly think that if it wasn't Elder Scrolls Online and it was what it was when it launched and it just was called something else and it just didn't even have that in
Bless
time, it just
Unleashed.
died. Like, oh god, let's not even go there. You can't do this yet. Fuck you, game. Like,
We'll
oh
save all
my
these discussions
God.
for the general MMO stream.
Yes, there
Honestly,
will
it
be
really
one.
is amazing how well Guild Wars is doing without a large IP as a support. Yeah. Either tangential,
become
because
its
Blizzard
own.
even has
I mean, Blizzard
they
got
have
everything
all
from the
their
past.
other games going on
I mean,
to keep them
Warcraft, yeah.
alive.
Yeah.
Should Warcraft ever falter, they've got all these other games to support it. We've got Elder
That's not so true.
Scrolls and Final Fantasy. All the other major MMOs have IPs and big beefy companies holding them up. But
Yeah.
Guild Wars is doing really well for being just itself. That's all ArenaNet does.
And
Yeah, it's
we
a
did see
little
their
game
earnings.
that could, right?
Yeah.
It's a little
Yeah.
game that could.
I mean, we saw their earnings as well, and I mean, they're the best they've kind of ever been, and they're popular. They're pretty hype about it. This is a good conversation to kind of head towards to end the stream, actually. But yeah, so you're right. Like, there is a lot to be. Like, I mean, I wanna say as well, like that I've definitely had some words during this podcast about where I'm thinking about where the game's going. Some of the reason why I wanted to talk about this today is because I know there are content creators who have quit actually in the last week or so, and some that I just haven't seen anymore. Holtz is a big necromancer like player who like puts you know those Guild Wars 2 kind of, you never see them unless you want to look for the footage, but then you realize their videos have got like 20, 30, 40,000 views and they've just world v world roaming, and like there's a massive community. And Holtz is like a big necro streamer and just quit the game, talking about how there's nothing really new that they want to challenge themselves with, how they're changing as a person because the game came out 10 years ago, and like how our tastes change and things like that. So it's interesting to see how games move forward so they can adjust to the times and the culture of like gaming now, and whether or not they can keep up, kind of thing, if that makes sense. I'm interested to see how Guild Wars 2 ArenaNet kind of evolve in the future. That will be interesting to see.
Man, they have to throw the World v World players a bone. They have to give them something.
They have to get alliances done.
Yeah.
They just have to get it
Do
done. By the end of the year, like, if they ain't got that done, man.
On
Yeah.
the PvE front, it's super exciting. They finally put, because it feels like they've not just finished with the dragon stories.
I mean, they don't. That's true. They don't.
But
Sorry.
they've freed up their storytelling style. They've freed up their approach to content release. Just like they could go any direction now. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean they can do what they want. They don't have to put out the World v World, but they probably should get it out soon.
As somebody who really wants to get into World v World, I would love, and it would get me into World v World to see the alliances done. It would get me there.
It's about meaning what they say and saying what they mean.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. It's like at a certain point, if you say you're going to do something, of course you don't have to do it. But if we're looking at it from a business side and even just like honoring of one's words, it does have to come at some point.
Yeah.
Of course, the longer it takes, the more people begin to question that integrity, or like they end up losing interest because other things catch their eye. But this is also to say that people lose interest in things all the time, but then circle back to it when, you know, their interest is peaked again. And Guild Wars 2 being the game that it is, you know, people take breaks all the time and people come back. So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
it's not the be all and end all if, you know, people
Sends a
take
message
breaks
though. Sends a message and all the stuff.
of the current state of that person's like overall goals and interest, but it does somewhat reflect the current state of the game and what area they're playing.
Okay.
True.
Well then, I think we will end it there. Any rebuttal?
I think if we go any further, we're going to go spinning on another tangent, and there won't be a good breaking point. So we're all just like, not gonna.
Very good. I need to go and eat.
Circling it back to your butt, that's fine. It's a perfect ending.
It's very circular, rounded.
Is it?
Have you been hitting those squats, Jebro?
No, I haven't actually.
Aw, I can send you a little routine.
You have a routine for squats?
Yeah.
Okay, send it to me. We'll start it on the video tab right now. Send it over. I'm old now. My hips are absolutely screwed. So
That's why you have to do squats.
is that
You
why
gotta
you
do
should do squats?
You should do hip stretches, I should say.
I do those, and it just doesn't get better. I don't walk much. I don't really go out.
Did you do them earlier in life?
The thing is, Kroof, is that I don't go outside much anymore.
No. Did you do those stretches earlier in life?
I want to say no.
That might be why. You have some catching up to do.
Oh God, how long is it going to take me? Jesus.
Gotta move. Keep that mobility.
I mean,
Eat
I'm
those
trying.
oils. Lubricate.
In fairness, the US is notorious for not having anywhere that people can walk, right?
I mean, really?
I mean, I walk by
it's
a major.
faster.
I walk by Highway 1 every day, so death
you?
could strike me at any moment.
That's
just
it.
walk
Yeah.
I
there?
live on Highway 1.
Wait, where do you go every day that you walk there every day?
The gym.
You go outside?
Well, no, I shouldn't say
wow,
every
you're
day.
such a non-gamer. Anyway.
I touched grass, but I also touched sand because I'm like in a beach city, bruh. I tasted salt water. Gulp, gulp.
Why are you here? I don't know.
You asked me.
I know.
You know what you were
what
getting.
the fuck is wrong with me?
You have only yourself to blame for this, Jebro.
I do. And I keep asking them to come back.
I'm rolling in that gamer down. Okay.
I'm not lying when I say this is my favorite time of the week. It honestly is. Okay, so with friends like these, who truly needs anything else in life?
Maybe some food.
Maybe some food, yeah.
That's
Scotch is like, yeah.
I'm out of water.
Oh no, all right, we're done now. Scotch, tell us what you do, where you do it, where can we catch you, and you've also got a store. Go.
I've got a store, yes. So I am Otterscotch. I stream on Twitch. I make things and I play Guild Wars. But yes, this is my highlight for the day.
Nice.
I have a store up on Ko-Fi, Coffee, however it is pronounced, where I currently have commissions open for your own little adorable felted quaggan. And as soon as the weather actually commits to being cooler outside, I will be felting that for you on stream.
Oh, okay, cool. So live content. Excellent. Love it.
Yeah, I guess I had that up real briefly.
That is very cool.
Ta-da.
That is absolutely adorable.
That's amazing. That's really good.
Kind of looks like a marshmallow.
You talented lady. You're beautiful. That's gorgeous.
So boom.
I don't think I could bring myself to eat that though.
I would not recommend. It's made of wool, so not.
If it was a marshmallow.
Cats love these though. I used
Yeah, I'll
to
bet.
make toys for my cat with my needle felting. Yeah.
Cool. Anything else?
I am Otterscotch everywhere.
Even in my house and outside when I go to the store. Otterscotch is here. Good. Good. Okay, excellent. Please go to their store. Buy the figs. Thank you for coming on the show. Crichton Herald, aka Phonex,
There.
aka person who talks about things in places.
Gosh.
Tell us
thank
what you do and where you do it, please. Thanks.
So I'm Vonax, the Crichton Herald. You will find me on YouTube at the Crichton Herald. You will find me on Twitch at the Crichton Herald. You will find me on Twitter at Crichton_Herald. But I do have the other ones, so no one can pinch them and say weird stuff. I say enough weird stuff. I don't need any help in that department.
Excellent.
And yeah, I make Guild Wars 2 content most of the time.
Content.
So that's me. Yes, and thank you for inviting me on the podcast. And long may she roll.
Where are you rolling to?
I don't know. I just
No.
It's about the journey, not the destination.
I think you just gendered the Lightbringers podcast.
Did I? Shit,
Ah.
sorry.
I think you did. She's a she.
Aw.
I don't think we've ever done it before.
She's serving.
She is.
Dude,
All the
I
time.
named all the trees in my garden, so don't even get me started, okay?
Okay. Thank you very much, Faunus, for coming on the show. Please make sure you go into the description, follow them, and do all the things. Same with Otterscotch as well.
Stop me.
But certainly not least, Proof. That's what you do. What you do.
Hi. So I'm on YouTube at Kroof. I also do some Guild Wars 2 stuff, which is very shocking with how little I actually know about this game. But I also stream here on Twitch every day of the week. Usually doing some Guild Wars 2 stuff. We just did a Raid Shadow Legends sponsored stream, so that was very fun. And thank
cool.
you for having me on. I appreciate it. Oh.
We've added dance at the end. Okay. If you would like to follow the stuff I do, I produce and make this podcast weekly currently. This is it's not the final week before, I'm not sure what's happening next week when this is going to be continuing because I've got to work out my schedule. I think it's going to be fine. It's a 12, it might be a little bit later, which is okay. I think, who knows, I will check with the peeps who I invite on the show. We don't know. But I'm starting my first role as a therapist this coming Monday, depending on when you watch that. That's the Monday after the podcast happened at the start of October, which is very exciting and scary. But also, please follow all my stuff. Twitch.tv/JebroUnity. Jebro Unity everywhere, doing all the things. Twitter, Instagram, Only Knees, loads of stuff. All the things. Do that. If you like it, tell your friends, because people apparently are telling their friends, and the podcast is literally the biggest thing on my channel right now. So on YouTube, it's actually ridiculous. Even the episode with Boots get views. It's really good.
Shocking.
It is shocking. Very shocking. It's odd. So weird. And if you have any subjects or things you want us to talk about, please drop them in the comments. We're probably not running out because I got loads of stuff. It's just this week I was just like, let's chill and talk post Guild Wars 2 kind of ish and what's going on in the world. Other than that, thanks so much for watching. Take care and have a massive biscuit if you want to. It's Friday, so hopefully you're having a fantastic day wherever you are. No, that's not right. I'm trying to get a song going. Oh, flip it. Anything else to say? No? Good. Let's go.
Actually, it's my husband's birthday today, and I totally blew him off to come here. Yeah.
You blew him off to come to this?
No. Like
No, Croof.
No,
Croof.
No, that's not what I meant.
No. Oh no.
That was Jebro's fault.
No, I didn't even
understand.
say that. What are you
I've had to
talking
keep
about?
for, like,
Emphasized
20
it.
minutes
You
and
said
you
I
you
did
do.
not. I did not. That was not me. I did never do that. And
.exe has crashed.
do you want to say happy birthday to them and it will be forever recorded?
Sure. Happy birthday, my love.
Oh,
Aw,
that
I'm gonna go cry and being single now.
was nice. Same. No, I'm fine with that. It's good. We're all good. We're all good. Happy birthday, husband, and everyone whose birthday it is today.
Not her husband, our husband.
Our husband is now, that is the truth. And if you are lonely, it's okay. We are too. We'll see you later on the Lightbringers podcast. Episode 27 is coming and maybe next week. See you soon and bye-bye.
You can totally be married and lonely. It's totally
Wow,
possible.
are you going to let me end this podcast with a fade out of the music?
You had. I thought
Let
you
me
had.
fade out, God damn it.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.